Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. They go Drallo with the blowout fro. He's got a gat, hey yo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking
yes, you
lie.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist, giving all the power to the...
But to promote justice for the people, you've got to listen to the victims, like the women seated behind you today. Those are just some of the hundreds of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's global sex trafficking ring who are demanding that the truth be told and are demanding accountability for the abusers who trafficked and raped them. You still haven't met with these survivors. So with their permission, let me introduce to you the survivors and late survivors' family members who are present today. There's Teresa Helm, there's Jess Michaels, Laura Bloom McGee, Danny Bensky, Liz Stein, Marina Lacerda, Sky and Amanda Roberts, who are the family of the late Virginia Giuffre, Charlene Richard, and Lisa Phillips.
All right, thanks, y'all. Yo, I'm back. We back again now. Yeah, apparently this started early, so I'm a little late on it. I was caught sleeping, and I was like, what? Woke up, and I was like, damn, man, this shit started at 10 a.m.? But kudos to Congress for getting started early. So let's see. Let's go.
Now, you're not showing a lot of interest in the victims, Madam Attorney General.
For those of you that don't know, Pam Bondi is the head of the DOJ, Department of Justice in the United States. The FBI is under her also. And basically, it's been a huge fiasco. Raskin basically accuses her, not even accuses her. He lays out the cover up, you know, and everyone knows that she's covering up the information. I mean, the victims are sitting right there, and they're like, what is going on with the Justice Department? Why doesn't the Justice Department want to talk to us, the victims? It's crazy.
Whether it's crazy. Epstein's human trafficking ring or the homicidal governmental violence against citizens in Minneapolis, as Attorney General, you're siding with the perpetrators and you're ignoring the victims. That will be your legacy unless you act quickly to change course. You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there. And you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do.
Facts.
Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact.
You know, when you look at her face in this, when you get to see her face, I mean, it's the same blank nothing. I don't owe the American people anything. Like, it's total disdain for the victims, total disdain for the American people. Like, the lady has no empathy whatsoever. It's crazy.
Many of the victims' names, which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends. But you published their names, their identities, their images, on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked.
Yep.
This performance screams cover-up. Convicted sex trafficker and groomer Ghislaine Maxwell opened the gates of hell to Virginia Giuffre and hundreds of other victims, as Virginia recorded in her remarkable book, Nobody's Girl. But when Maxwell was subpoenaed to come testify before Congress, you and Todd Blanche quickly moved her from a higher security prison to a minimum security camp in Texas, where she's enjoyed 5-star treatment, including catered meals, private gym time, and access to a therapy puppy. All because Todd Blanche, who's utterly failed to investigate the monstrous crimes of Epstein and Maxwell's co-conspirators, spent 9 hours with Maxwell and satisfied himself that she would have nothing untoward to say about Donald Trump, which is your only real interest in the matter, based on institutional performance. But abandoning victims and coddling perpetrators is what you do best. When the FBI opened a criminal investigation into the brutal killing in Minneapolis of Renee Good, a poet and 37-year-old mother of 3, by Trump's masked paramilitary ICE agents, you shut it down. You claim you're investigating the cold-blooded murder of Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse at the VA. But how can we trust the administration when the president and Kristi Noem call Preddy a domestic terrorist and Stephen Miller called him a would-be assassin? Not only do you refuse to share evidence with the state and local investigators and prosecutors in Minnesota, you have blocked their access to the crime scene and the evidence.
Jamie
How are you
Raskin.
seeking justice for Mariamar Martinez, the Montessori school teacher in Chicago who was shot 5 times by a Border Patrol agent who bragged about it on text? Or the family of Keith Porter,
who bragged about it on text. I mean, she is responsible for all of what you're hearing. He's laying it out to her. And this is just in 1 year. In 1 year. Now, you know, like, it's
a
hard.
father of 2 shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent in L.A. Or the family of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, shot and killed in Illinois minutes after he dropped his kids off at school. There's no sign of any movement at the Department of Justice. You even launched a criminal investigation into Renee Good's grieving widow. How sick is that?
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
even worse. You've turned the People's Department of Justice into Trump's instrument of revenge. Trump orders up prosecutions like pizza, and you deliver every time. He tells you to go after James Comey, Letitia James, Lisa Cook, and Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve Board, and members of Congress like Adam Schiff,
Just look at her
Mark
face.
Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin, Chrissy Houlihan, Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzio, and Maggie Goodlander, to name a few, and you snap to it. You replace real prosecutors with counterfeit stooges who robotically do the president's bidding. Nothing in American history comes close.
Barbie doll Bondi. That's what they're going to call her. And she is going to go to jail for Trump's crimes. All of them. Every single crime. She's going to face it. Watch. She's going to be the stooge.
This complete corruption of the justice function and contamination of federal law enforcement. And the good news is many serious lawyers at DOJ, including some of your own original appointees, have refused your lawless orders. Danielle Sassoon, your original pick for acting U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, resigned rather than follow your corrupt order to quash an indictment against Mayor Eric Adams as a political favor from Donald Trump. A Federalist Society member who clerked for Justice Scalia, U.S. Attorney Sassoon refused to participate in this blatantly corrupt scheme. Her top assistant, Hagan Scotton, an Iraqi war vet and 2-time Bronze Star recipient who clerked for Chief Justice Roberts, and then Judge Kavanaugh, promptly resigned too, writing to your office, quote, "I expect you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion."
I mean, this lady is sitting there like nothing is wrong at all. Like anybody who said anything about her performance, anyone that has a complaint, they are just wrong every single time. This is just, you're just imagining it. You imagined Epstein Island. The witnesses, look, I mean, the victims are sitting in the hallway. Not all the victims, but a good number of them are sitting in the committee chambers, and she just got total indifference to them. You know, it is insane. This is insane.
But it was never going to be me. You and the president nominated Eric Siebert, a 15-year career prosecutor, to be your U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. But after 5 months of investigating Letitia James and James Comey, he found no evidence to justify criminal charges. So you forced him out. You replaced him with Lindsay Halligan, Trump's personal lawyer from the Mar-a-Lago documents case, who had zero prosecutorial experience and no qualifications. And then you were humiliated when a federal judge found that this corrupt appointment was blatantly unlawful and threw out Halligan's indictments entirely. And grand juries of American citizens have repeatedly rejected your vendettas and baseless indictments brought by the hacks left at DOJ now, with 2 different grand juries in Virginia voting down indictments against Letitia James in a single week. And just yesterday, another grand jury shut down your vendetta factory by rejecting indictments against the 6 members of Congress who had spoken out to remind all service members that they have a duty to refuse illegal orders. You tried to get a grand jury to indict 6 members of Congress who are veterans of our armed forces on charges of seditious conspiracy simply for exercising.
I mean, look, she's not taking notes. She's not even engaging him. She's just looking and what's so busy on her desk anyway? What is so busy that, like, you know, she's got this little piece of gum I got to put in my mouth. I got to take a sip of water over here. Let me see my files over here. Let me make sure they're sitting right on the desk. He's still talking about victims. He's still talking about police killings. He's still talking about all types of injustices. And she's just talking about Ghislaine Maxwell getting star treatment, getting delivered food and shit to her camp where she's at. The woman who sexually trafficked thousands of girls is getting first class treatment in jail by her administration, by her, at her order, at her actual order. She's the lady responsible for that. I mean, and she's just sitting there like, so what? So what?
First Amendment rights. I hope you will heed the wisdom and the constitutional patriotism of those grand jurors and not try it again by doubling down on that humiliation. As your best lawyers are sacked for having participated in the January 6th case or just flee for the exits now, your new lawyers keep lying in court. In dozens of cases, they've been excoriated for lying to federal judges. Chief Judge Boasberg, right here in D.C., suggested your Department of Justice perpetrated a fraud on the court. Other judges found your statements to be, quote, inexplicably misleading, patently incredible, totally inconsistent, and so disingenuous that the court is left with little confidence that the government can be trusted to tell the truth about anything.
Can you imagine a judge has to say that about the head of the DOJ? Can you imagine that? That's insane. And look at her. She just sitting there. Nothing.
As ranking member, I asked the chairman to add.
And she's getting your tax dollars. Every single American citizen's tax dollars. You're paying for her dental fees. You're paying for her nice laid out luxury crib. You're paying for her car rides back and forth to anywhere she wants to go. Her shopping, her makeup, all of this shit. You're paying for it. Shit you can't even afford yourself. Shit you can't even afford yourself. She got it good on the American people's tax dollar, and the house is falling, and it's falling on her watch. It's falling on her watch. A few
extra rounds of questions today because we each have 5 hours of questions, not 5 minutes, but we're stuck with 5 minutes. That's clearly insufficient to give voice to America's victims and survivors and to demand answers about all the corruption and cover-ups that we see at DOJ right now. We've got just one round, so we ask you politely but firmly, Madam Attorney General, please do not waste 1 second of our precious time by evading questions, by changing the subject, or engaging in
you know she gonna evade all questions. She's gonna go in a merry-go-round circle, like, you know.
Personal attacks against members of Congress. We saw your performance in the Senate, and we're not going to accept that. This isn't a game. In the Senate, you brought something with you called a burn book, a binder of smears to attack members personally for doing the people's work of oversight. Please set the burn book aside and answer.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. The victims are watching. All those victims are watching her sit there and smile, do nothing. I mean, they may as well call her Do Nothing Bondi.
Like, questions, and when you hear us reclaim our time, that means it's time for you to stop speaking. We only have 5 minutes, so when we reclaim our time, that means you stop. And if you don't, we will ask the chair to stop the clock and let you go on his time. The quality of justice in America depends on the character of our government. Please do your job and bring the Department of Justice back from the brink. The survivors seated behind you and the American people watching everywhere deserve a Department of Justice worthy of its name. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
She don't give a damn. That's for damn sure. And yeah, but it is what it is. That's Pam Bondi for you. And let's hear some more of her testimony. I'm going to go back. It's been live now. I think they went into recess. So let me just go back and try to catch the past, what happened earlier before. What else, you know, and when they come back from recess, and she's going to be come on now. When she comes back, when they come out of recess, she's going to reappear and have to answer more questions now. Oh, here we go.
Appreciate your effort in this regard.
And may I have 20 seconds of your time before to address something?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me go back now. This is crazy. Okay, so they went into session. They went into pause. Okay, here we go.
Between civil rights, between criminal, between so-called...
What? Come on now. Good grief. Yeah, so this is Pam Bondi, yo. She's doing her testifying today in front of Congress.
Both you and the president are under attack, and our ICE agents and FBI and others are...
Okay, so they don't do their job, right? The job that the law requires, the job that if you didn't follow the law, you would get a ticket, a fine, thrown in jail, or any amount of punishments. That's what you would get, the American people. Now, in the largest espionage case of the country's history, where children have been said to have been murdered, sexually assaulted, right, and tortured, right, for 20-something years. For 20-something years, she was ordered to release all of the Epstein files. And what did they do after running on this whole thing for years, saying as soon as Trump gets in office, they're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to find out who's behind it. We're going to get those Dems. As soon as they get power, they don't release the files. They hold back, slow it down. And now they're even gaslighting American citizens, saying that it just takes so long because we want to protect the victims. But the victims are there in the chamber saying, lady, you ain't protecting us. They even released victims' names that no one else even knew, and that's against the law. Then they redacted names of people that's not even supposed to be redacted. You're only supposed to redact victims' names. And they just, so, I mean, what else could it be? What else could it be? Let's see here. But, of course, how this works is she's got some Republicans that are on Trump's side that are capping for this basically hostile takeover of the U.S. government, like pretending the Congress is pretending, and the Senate, the majority, they're pretending like everything is a normal day in the United States of America. While the dollar sinks 10 points, it's probably 11 points now, while they withhold economic data because they're scared of releasing the truth because they know it's going to make the dollar crash, while they're putting tariffs on and claim on allies and claiming to attack, to invade other NATO nations. They're acting like this is just a regular day in the United States of America. And guess who's paying them to do this? Every single American taxpayer is paying their salary. They're not putting 1 penny in your pocket, not 1 penny. So we have to listen to some right wingers ask her some softball questions, before someone else decides that they had enough here.
Thank you, Congressman, for talking about all the great judges. And if I could add one thing to that, we are always recruiting and looking for judges. So please reach out to our office for these judges who are handling all these very important matters. We've even added some JAG officers as immigration judges.
Thank you.
And so we're continuing to do that, but we're always seeking qualified lawyers as well to be part of that. And thank you for highlighting that, Congressman.
Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Attorney General Bondi, right here. We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice. The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted. The email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Only after members of Congress demanded that we see the unredacted files did the world learn the name of this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman and CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump's advisor, Steve Bannon.
So, you see, Epstein has been involved, had blackmail, and these individuals all coming to Epstein Island dealing with torturing little kids, like straight up. This is the whole, to get them in compromising situations, videotape it and this kind of shit. And what Pam Bondi did, this is exactly what she did, the opposite of the law. The Democrats and others, some Republicans, only a few Republicans, because most of them were against it. They had 218 total, right? Mostly all the Democrats signed it. A what did they call it? A discharge petition, right? To get these files out, okay? And then they had a vote because of the discharge petition, and they actually won the vote to release all the Epstein files, and they were ordered in the law, because it's now a law, to release all files except the names of the victims. That's it. And what this woman did that's sitting before you is the exact opposite on purpose. Here it is.
Second, this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman.
See, so they blacked his name out so the world doesn't know who that is. But now the world knows this creep has been at Epstein Island doing weird shit. Basically, it appears, with Jeffrey Epstein. And the weirdest shit, is not even, we don't know how weird it gets, but we definitely know that they're involved in direct corruption with Donald J. Trump. And that is why his name is redacted. But many of these people, right? Many of them have been to Epstein Island and in contact with Epstein many times. Knew about his activities, and failed to be interviewed or followed up by the Justice Department, asked any questions, interviewed, anything. See, they basically gave them all a pass.
And CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump.
Oh, really, Edward? Damn, they shut it down? I mean, RTP? Oh, really? Yeah, well, this is what they're going to do, man. This is what they're going to do. And people should know that the EU, this is what we wanted to talk about before. These financial companies, and social media companies, they're connected, right? The EU is about to launch its own companies because of this kind of shit that the U.S. government is doing, trying to shut down on First Amendment rights. You see what I mean? And they want to promote disinformation, but they want to stop your right to be able to speak about it. Stop your right to be able to speak about crimes, to speak about what's going on in your life. I mean, it's real. It's real
Trump's
right now.
advisor, Steve Bannon. Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law. Here is another email titled Epstein Victim List. We have blurred the names of the survivors for their protection, but your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted, along with numerous files that disclose not only the names, the emails, and the addresses of survivors, but also nude photographs and even the identities of Jane Does who had been protected for decades.
How do they release nude photographs? Like, how the heck do they do that? You see what I mean? Like, under this lady, Pam Bondi. I mean, they redacted people who were on the island, grown-ass men who were on the island, but the victims, they didn't redact. I mean, what the hell?
Until your department released their names. Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein. In their words, quote, "This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades."
I mean, I wish they showed Pam Bondi's face here, because her face is probably like this, just blank. Nothing, probably sitting there eating her chewing gum, playing with her nails.
The survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice.
See, I wish they showed this ass, but it's
Please
all
know
of them.
for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
Yep.
Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility.
Exactly. Because Trump was already in office, and Biden didn't come into office and say, well, you know, the Trump administration, the way they did it with the Epstein thing is, no, he furthered the prosecutions.
For your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
that's
respond.
Not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer.
Time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I will reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's reclaimed her
I'm not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say this.
I'll direct it to
what
you.
a massive cover-up.
No, I'm answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is interrupted.
I'm not going to get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have my time.
The gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Now, look, just for the world to know, for people that don't know, this guy sitting in his chair, this is Jim Jordan, right? Yo, chat, let me know. Is this Jim Jordan that's sitting right here in the chair seat right here? Right? Let me know if this is Jim Jordan. I believe it is. But in any case, Jim Jordan, if this is him, this guy's been accused by this guy, Sasha Riley, of being part of the Epstein and Trump scandal himself. He is accused directly of assault and torture, rape, excuse my language, but seriously, these are the things that he himself is accused of, you see. And so it's very suspicious that he's the one that gets to control the hearing. You see what I mean? That is so ridiculous. And for the people that don't know, here, let me put in the chat, I'm going to put in the link to the Sasha Riley audio tapes that he left, right, that he did, where he documents what happened to him regarding Trump and Epstein, you know, when he was a kid. Like, seriously, here it is. I'm going to put it in the chat. Here, watch.
You can proceed with your 17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only to then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Ghislaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up. And I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
Chair now recognizes the chair.
And what you have done.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back. We appreciate that. We appreciate the thought. And I would argue the central issue in the last election, the presidential election, was securing the border. The gentleman from Arizona who knows something about securing the border is up for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. In 2022, Lafarge, which is a French cement company, pled guilty in U.S. federal court to participating in a criminal conspiracy with ISIS. That conspiracy contributed to the deaths of U.S. service members fighting in Syria during Operation Inherent Resolve. As part of the plea agreement, Lafarge was required to pay more than $775 million into DOJ's asset forfeiture fund. In February 2025, my colleagues and I sent you a letter urging the department to review the petitions for remission submitted by the families of those fallen service members, including several of my constituents. The previous administration ignored these victims and our requests and left their petitions unresolved. My question for you on this particular issue is if you're willing to work to ensure those families that their petitions will be reviewed and brought to a resolution.
Congressman, we are aware of that, and we're committed to doing everything we can to support the victims and work with you. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, appreciate your answer.
Softball question.
Sure. And now let's go to something that is also pressing that I've been working on for years, and this is the FISA Section 702 and Arctic frost. In January 2025, you testified before the U.S. Senate and agreed with Senator Lee that, quote, anytime an American citizen's private communications are intercepted or stored, whether through incidental collection or otherwise, those communications should not be searched without some showing of probable cause. Close quote. You still hold that view today, I assume?
No, she doesn't hold that view at all. I mean, what is she talking about?
Yes.
And
right, exactly. That's why they're collecting everybody's data around it. They're going around the law. And this administration is known for going around the law. Everything has to all of a sudden go up to the courts and be decided in a court. None of it is just follow the law how it is written, follow the law like the last 100 administrations have been doing. It's always they have to set new precedents. So, I mean, yeah, she's talking about, yeah, okay, so you're going to follow the law? All right, Pam Bondi. Did you release the Epstein files, Pam Bondi? No.
Recent FISA reauthorization, I offered an amendment to establish a clear warrant requirement for searches of Americans' data.
Now, obviously, I ain't going to sit up here and listen to this dude, right? So let's go to the next one because this is bullshit. You know, this is bullshit, basically. People want to know if their government has been taken over by a foreign country because of a honeypot. That's what people want to know. That's what voters want to fucking know, right? Because this government acts very different from any other U.S. government. It acts like it's against the American people, and it acts like it's for the enemies of the U.S. So this is what people want to know.
As with the
They don't want to know about. I'm sorry, anybody else? They don't want to know about none of that stuff. You know,
over the use of unmanned military aircraft.
Here we go. Come on now, let's go. Hoorah!
Beyond the, but if
let me hear Jasmine.
And it was extensive. Yes, Congressman. Thank you.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
I have a UC.
Softball question answered.
Mr. Chairman.
And that is the gentlelady from Texas.
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record. El Paso airspace reopened after FAA quickly rescinds 10-day flights restriction. This was published by the Texas Tribune on February 11th, 2026, and it says it was because of an impasse with the DOD over the use of unmanned military aircraft and not triggered by Mexican cartel.
You could see they're sitting in the back of the chamber, right? They're standing up in the back of the chamber. You can see that's Jasmine Crockett to the right.
Drones.
Without objection.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear back about the second round of questions. I assume that's not happening. I just want to be able to assure the members, certainly on my side, if not both sides.
That's not a point of order.
No, that every member will get 5 minutes. with the witness? Will there be 5 minutes for each?
Yeah, you get 5 minutes, yeah.
With the witness, okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, okay. And are you up next? Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Do you know who Sasha Riley is? Jim Jones, do you know who Sasha Riley is, Jim Jones? Do you? Answer the question.
Yeah.
Answer.
With the witness, okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, okay. And are you up next? Gentleman from New York is recognized.
USA 66848 66848. Grok is in the building.
Mr. Chairman, I want to begin by acknowledging the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific abuse who are in the room with us today. I want to thank all of you for your bravery in speaking out. And I want to say that you and the other survivors of these heinous crimes deserve better from this Department of Justice. In particular, it is shocking that the Department...
Grok USA 6684 in the chat says, praise Pam Bondi.
did not redact the names of Epstein's victims.
Internet trolls on the horizon.
But it did redact the names of their abusers. I don't know whether this was done out of incompetence or whether it was deliberate and malicious, but either way, it is completely unacceptable. Even more troubling, the DOJ has failed to bring any of these perpetrators to justice. Instead, it has engaged in a relentless pursuit of Donald Trump's perceived enemies. I want to focus on just one example. The Attorney General of my home state of New York, Tish James. This DOJ has been hell-bent on securing an indictment against Ms. James for something, anything, simply because she held Donald Trump's companies accountable for years of financial fraud. And indeed, the department...
What kind of government do you have that is actively suing all of its prosecutors from the last administration? Anyone who prosecuted anybody for a crime is getting prosecuted now in the government, but the sex traffickers are not being prosecuted. You don't get to know who did what inside of the Epstein files for the last 20 years, but you get to know that, hey, Letitia James, you know what I'm saying? She had 2 properties. That's not right. We need to investigate her, even though it wasn't a crime. They refused the prosecutors stepped down 2 of them. And then they finally found one, and that one, they ended up saying, man, you're not qualified. You're not even supposed to have the job. There's no court in the country that will prosecute her. They're saying it's ridiculous, and they're still trying to prosecute her.
He manufactured an investigation against her for alleged, quote, mortgage fraud. But the U.S. attorney leading the investigation, Eric Siebert, a Trump appointee, refused to bring charges against Ms. James because there was simply no evidence. Unfortunately, a prosecutor who refuses to do Trump's bidding has no place in this DOJ, so Mr. Siebert was forced out. Trump could not contain his fury that he expressed to you in a social media post addressed to you by name. I'm sure you've seen it. Quote, I fired him and there is a great case, he wrote to you about Mr. Siebert. Then we moved down. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. And obviously, you followed that order. Lindsay Halligan, Trump's former defense lawyer who had never prosecuted a case in her life, was installed to replace Mr. Siebert, and it was clear that part of her mandate was to go after Ms. James. Halligan immediately sought an indictment, which a court dismissed because Halligan was illegally put into the role. But your department was undeterred, and not once, but twice, it tried to indict Attorney General James in separate courts. Both grand juries rejected you and refused to indict her.
Exactly.
It's practically unheard of for a grand jury to refuse an indictment.
A grand jury can indict a ham sandwich and they wouldn't do it.
16, it happened in just 6 cases out of over 150,000 offenses. And you had it happen twice in the same week in 2 different courts. That must have been humiliating. And now there are reports you are continuing to investigate her. The amount of resources that have gone into targeting Attorney General James, months of investigations, multiple failed indictments, is astounding. Since your own prosecutors told you that
it's got to be humiliating to be a woman. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying men don't contradict themselves all the time. Men do. They contradict themselves all the time. But I'm saying in this particular case, you're talking about sex trafficking, sex slavery, child torture, child murder for 20 some odd years in the country. and they have a woman putting up the barriers to transparency. They have a woman slowing down the process. You see what I mean? It's bad enough that nothing has been done, right? Pretty much. I mean, Trump, he became president. Epstein died mysteriously, right? And the only other co-conspirator they could find is a woman, and she's the only one in jail. I mean, don't you find that strange? So you have a woman that's blocking the release of the Epstein files, right? Or at least hindering it extremely. I mean, they said day one they would release these files, and now they still haven't been released. Only at best half have been released, and then they're getting all the redactions incorrect. You know, don't you think that's kind of sick? I think that's really, really sick to do that, to put a woman up there, to do that, to take the blame for the guys, like all these wicked ass men. Like, make no mistake about it. These are wicked ass men, and they throw a woman up front. You know, I just think it's so foul. It speaks to the misogyny. If you ask me, I mean, you know, and then these victims have to look at her as a woman, do that. Like, she as a woman, Pam Bondi, doesn't have anything inside of her for little girls, like straight up.
There's not enough evidence to support a conviction. It's clear that you were going after her simply because she held President Trump accountable and he wants to punish her. And she is just one name on a long list of Trump political enemies that DOJ is reportedly targeting. From Jerome Powell and Lisa Cook at the Federal Reserve to James Comey, numerous Democratic members of Congress, John Brennan, Jack Smith, Democratic officials in Minnesota, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylors, and more. And those are just the ones we know about. In contrast to these politically motivated investigations, grasping at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
Now, you know, we got somebody in the chat, right, by the name of New Industries 176. Let me just check this out. But they say repeal the 19th Amendment. And this is another troll, another bot, right? Obviously, they don't even know what it is. Probably they've just been told to say this, right? Likely. But they're talking about, of course, their account is only like 3 years old, basically, you know, so that's obviously a troll account. But in any case, a lot of people, for people who don't know, the 19th Amendment is the one that allows American citizens to vote. So here's a person that wants to put every American citizen back into slavery while they support the raping and torturing of little kids. Like, straight up. I mean, this is sick, you know, this is sick. This is what you got. This is what you got. What the? Look at her. She always does this. She pauses before she answers any question. Look, you see how long it took her to answer? Listen. Grasping
at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
Oh, she's going to attack his character. She's not going to answer the question. She's going to say, you have the nerve to ask me that question. So she's not even going to answer the question. She's not even going to answer the question. And let me tell you, somebody in the chat wrote, how many did the Democrats indict? Well, the Democrats indicted more than Trump did. And guess the Democrats convicted more than Trump, too. I mean, the only one they indicted was the only one Trump administration indicted was Epstein, and he just mysteriously died. The Democrats indicted had to follow up and indict the person that's left, his partner, because Trump didn't want to indict her for some strange reason, for some strange ass reason, right? I don't know what that's all about, but yeah. Then she gets convicted, and then Trump comes and fires the prosecutor that convicts her. I mean, so what's your point, Ian? Is it okay to fire the prosecutor that prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell? Is that okay? Is that okay for you? Is that okay for you, Ian? Like, come on now. Of course, it shouldn't be okay. But apparently you're not clapping for the indictment. You're not clapping for the conviction. You're actually supporting the people that took the person, the partner of Epstein and the partner of Trump, and gave her a cozy little cell and is treating her better than you treat your own. What's up with that? Is she even going to answer
How many
this?
have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to
Yes.
answer the question
How?
the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're gonna answer
theatrics
the
are
question the
ridiculous.
way I asked it. How
Chairman
many have you
Jordan, I'm
indicted?
not going to get in the gutter with these people,
How many
but
have
I'm
you-
going to answer the question.
How many have you
you
indicted?
hear that? She's not going to get in the gutter. Pam Bondi, this is the woman. She worked for the very DA office in Florida that let Epstein off the first time. That's who you're talking about. Alacosta was the head of the DA in Florida that gave Epstein the sweetheart deal after thousands had been molested and tortured. They just let him off, basically, and gave him a sweetheart deal. Pam Bondi was the number 2. When Trump hired Alacosta, after that, later when he became president, Pam Bondi became the head of the Florida department. Why do you think that is? It's to cover up shit. That's exactly what that is, and of course, do I know that for a fact? No, but isn't it obvious? Because that's the pattern that this administration is. It's the cover up administration. It's so many things that this administration closed away. When they for example, when they locked up Epstein, right? When Trump finally did that, do you think it was because he wanted to prosecute Epstein and take him through litigation and have all kinds of information come out to the public? No, of course he didn't want that. This man has business relationships with Epstein. Of course not. So obviously, did he make it to court? No, he didn't make it to court. But not only that, they didn't even raid the other properties where a huge amount of torture and trafficking was going on of little kids. The Rancho property didn't even get raided. They didn't. Trump's last administration refused to raid the ranch in New Mexico. Like, who does that? So there can be no misunderstanding. This administration has a tendency to cover up more shit than it releases. It has a tendency to do less than it actually does. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very
Reclaiming
interesting.
my time.
I think it's very
Reclaiming my
interesting.
time.
You can
when
reclaim
he
your
talks
time,
about
but
they
reclaiming my
indicted,
time, Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they
Close the
indicted
clock.
him
Mr.
twice.
Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and stop the
They
clock and
indicted-
restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will be in order.
theatrics.
The time
Reclaiming my
belongs
time
to the
and
gentleman
yield back
from
the
New
clock,
York.
please.
We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when
Reclaiming
you ask
my-
a question, the
The
witness
question
gets to
was-
answer. You may not like the answer, but
So you see, they got all day. Now the victims, a lot of victims are watching this. Many of the victims are in the, maybe 10% of the victims, because there's 1,000 are in the actual chamber. The victims have to look at them, laugh about it. Pam Bondi's laughing about it. Like, what happened in front of the whole world? Jim Jones, he's actually accused of raping a little boy. He's accused directly by Sasha Riley of sexual assault. He is accused himself and other things, right? Now, but they're sitting there, they're laughing like, oh, well, they know that there's real victims, but they're laughing about it. The victims were told that the Epstein files would be released so that they would have justice. And now they're smiling about not releasing them. When they're being asked, why aren't you releasing the Epstein files? They're smiling. They're smiling about it. Okay.
it's to
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like
Que-
the answer,
Reclaiming
Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming
So
my-
he asked a
Reclaiming my
4-minute
time.
question.
Restore 45
and
seconds to
I am
Mr. Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
I mean,
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long.
Exactly, John. Trump has more pictures with Epstein than he has with his daughter. Trump is mentioned over 1 million. He said by FBI folks, by people in the FBI, in the files that haven't even been released. In the files that have been released, they say he's mentioned 38,000 times. You know about the 3 million files left? Do you know how many times they say he's released, that he's mentioned? They say he's mentioned 1 million fucking times in the files that haven't even been released. What do you think he's mentioned? What do you think they're saying he's doing? Do you think they're saying he killed little kids? Do you think they're saying he choked the little kids out? Do you think he's saying he beat up little kids, choked them out, and then slept with them while they're alive or dead? Do you think that? Do you think it? Because this is the type of horrific shit that is inside of those files. It's not just some, nice date, a night out on the town with a minor. You know what I'm saying? It's like literally torturing torturing, murder, like seriously. And you see, they're not releasing it. So again, American people, you got to time. It's vote. It's time to vote. Like voting is coming up. Make sure that your name is on the registry, on the voter registry. Go downtown to the city hall and find out what the city hall is doing to protect voter integrity, to make sure that your vote is going to count. Like, make sure, because they seriously do not want a change of regime, because they know they have been busted. They have been busted. And you should want a new regime. You should want a regime that's actually going to release the information, because here's the thing. As long as you don't know who's in those files, you don't know who is in the government that's being blackmailed, right? You don't know who Putin is pulling the strings on. You don't know who Netanyahu is, per se, is pulling the strings on. You don't know who Saudi Arabia is pulling the strings on. You don't know who Oman is. You don't know who any of them, anybody. You don't have any clue, and you don't have universal health care in the richest country on earth. You don't have universal education in the richest country on earth. You don't have child care, elder care that's universal for every American citizen, elder. You don't have none of that. But what you got is these fools up here trying to withhold information that you, the taxpayer, pay them for. To release. They're holding it. They're holding this shit hostage. It's your files and they won't even release it, and you're paying their salary. It's crazy, man.
But not on our watch.
Pam Bondi and Jim Jones are acting like people are supposed to be calm about this and just relax and just over and over. Oh, well, they just laughed at us. They're not going to release it again. Ha, ha, ha. They're acting like people are supposed to be calm about this shit.
On our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Oh, shit. Listen to this. Yo, I gotta find her face. Like, what is going on? Listen to this. This is crazy.
Seconds, we will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer.
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman.
My time.
Because it's honest. So he asked a 4-minute question.
Restore 45 seconds to Mr. Nadler, please, Mr. Chairman.
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you, because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I said that already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now, Mr. Nadler. Go
All right.
My time. The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0. You have been the Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
None of the perpetrators have been brought to justice, but enormous resources
Time of the gentleman has expired, and obviously
it's clear that under your leadership, the Department of Justice no longer works
question in there.
It works for Donald Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
I think our next questioner, Madam Attorney General, is going to give you time to respond to.
Thank you, Chairman.
All kinds of things. So we will turn to the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
Ms. Bondi, you go right ahead. I'm over here.
All right. So
the time is yours.
Let me see something. Now let me flip to the next one, because they're saying that the time is hers. Okay, let's see. I just want to get her face when she's going through these exchanges. Actually, I don't know why it's only showing the committee's face right there, but here we go. So let me just flip over to the Fox one and catch the same point in this dialogue here. Now, this shit is explosive. You can tell by how Pam Bondi is reacting that she knows this is serious, right? She doesn't like what's being said about her, and it is so she's having a serious inflection point. But here, I've never heard Pam Bondi like that before. I mean, she usually tries to gaslight people and hi and smile, and you could be talking about murder and little kids dying, and she could be like, well, what happened is that we just so passé about the shit. But hold on. All right, so let me go back here and see. Is it right here? Right here? Is this Nader?
Impeachment hearings against Donald Trump.
Is this Nader right here? I believe this is Nader. Right. So hold on. Let me go back a little bit more, because I want to actually see her face when she... Is it here?
Acknowledging the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's
here we go.
Abuse were in the room with us today. I want to thank all of you for your bravery in speaking out. I want to say that you and the other survivors of these heinous crimes deserve better from this Department of Justice. In particular, it is shocking that the department did not redact the names of Epstein's victims, but it did redact the names of their abusers.
Now look at her face when they say didn't redact the name of the victims. Look at her face. But the truth is that they let victims' names out and they hid accusers' names.
I want to say that you and the other survivors of these heinous crimes
Look at her eyes.
deserve better from this Department of Justice. In particular, it is shocking that the department did not redact the names of Epstein's victims, but it did redact the names of their abusers. I don't know whether this was done out of incompetence or whether it was deliberate and malicious, but either way, it is completely unacceptable. Even more troubling, the DOJ has failed to bring any of these perpetrators to justice. Instead, it has engaged in a relentless pursuit of Donald Trump's perceived enemies. I want to focus on just one example. The Attorney General of my home state of New York, Tish James.
All right. Here, we heard this part. Hold up. So he's talking about Tish James now. Let me just pull it up a little faster now. Hold on.
So we will turn to the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
Okay. Damn, that whole exchange got missed. All right, hold on.
The gentleman has expired and
more leads. It took
Here we go.
Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims.
Yo, facts, Dennis. Facts, Dennis. That's what they're saying. It's almost like a threat to the other victims that haven't gone public. You know, like if you talk, we're going to release your names. You could be under threat. And this is how this government has been operating. Like it calls the dog whistles out to threaten and harass people's lives. Like all of these victims have already had their lives threatened already for 20 something years. You see what I mean? Like seriously, a lot of people don't really don't understand that when you have perpetrators that are billionaires with everything at their disposal, apparently this is what they do with that money. They get other people to harass you, and it's hard to stop it.
The names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman
None
has
of the
expired.
Have been brought to justice, but enormous resources.
Time of the
dedicated
gentleman
to
has
pursuing Trump's
expired,
enemies.
and
It's
obviously
clear that under your leadership, the Department of Justice
there was
no longer
no
works
question
for the
in
American
there.
people. It works
Order
for
respond
Donald
to.
Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
I think our next questioner, Madam Attorney General, is going to give you time to respond to
Thank you, Chairman.
all kinds of things. So we will turn to the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
Ms. Bondi, you go right ahead. I'm over here. The time is yours.
How did I miss that exchange?
Let me have my time.
The gentlelady.
How did I miss that exchange? Did they cut it out?
Todd Blanche met alone with Elaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up. And I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
Chair now recognizes the chair.
And what you have done.
Time of the gentlelady has expired. The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back. We appreciate the thought.
Yeah, she called it theatrics. You see that? Like she literally called it theatrics. And it is for real. They are not interviewing any of the victims.
And I would argue the central issue in the last election, the presidential election, was securing the border. The gentleman from Arizona who knows something about securing the border is up for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. In 2022, Lafarge, which is a French part of the DOJ, urging the Department of Service these victims and our request justified patients are should have exceptions and certain
Congress, others.
I'm trying to catch that part where they had the outburst.
Or other intelligence community and information so we could
airspace reopened after FAA quickly rescinds 10-day flights restriction. This was published by the Texas Tribune on February 11th, 2026, and it says it was because of an impasse with the DOD over the use of unmanned military aircraft and not triggered by Mexican cartel drones.
Without objection.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear back about the second round of questions. I assume that's not happening. I just want to be able to assure the members, certainly on my side, if not both sides.
That's not a point of order.
No, that every member will get 5 minutes with the witness. Will there be 5 minutes for each?
Yeah, you get 5 minutes, yeah.
With the witness. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, okay. And are you up next? Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, sorry about this.
Acknowledging the survivors of Jeffrey
I just want to see Pam Bondi flip out here. She's about to flip out, and we didn't get a chance to see her face when she was doing it.
Epstein's horrific abuse who are in the room with us today. I want to thank all of you for your bravery in speaking out. I want to say that you and the other survivors of these heinous crimes deserve better from this Department of Justice. In particular, it is shocking that the department did not redact the names of Epstein's victims, but it did redact the names of their abusers. I don't know whether this was done out of incompetence or whether it was deliberate and malicious, but either way, it is completely unacceptable. Even more troubling, the DOJ has failed to bring any of these perpetrators to justice. Instead, it has engaged in a relentless pursuit of Donald Trump's perceived enemies. I want to focus on just one example. The Attorney General of my home state of New York, Tish James. This DOJ has been hell-bent on securing an indictment against Ms. James for something, anything, simply because she held Donald Trump's companies accountable for years of financial fraud. And indeed, the department manufactured an investigation against her for alleged, quote, mortgage fraud. But the U.S. attorney leading the investigation, Eric Siebert, a Trump appointee, refused to bring charges against Ms. James because there was simply no evidence. Unfortunately, a prosecutor who refuses to do Trump's bidding has no place in this DOJ.
Yo, do you all notice people that saying Pam Bondi is in the files herself back from her time in Florida? That's what folks are saying now.
So Mr. Siebert was forced out. Trump could not contain his fury that he expressed to you in a social media post addressed to you by name. I'm sure you've seen it. Quote, I fired him, and there is a great case, he wrote to you about Mr. Siebert. Then we moved down. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. And obviously, you followed that order. Lindsay Halligan, Trump's former defense lawyer who had never prosecuted a case in her life, was installed to replace Mr. Siebert, and it was clear that part of her mandate was to go after Ms. James. Halligan immediately sought an indictment, which a court dismissed because Halligan was illegally put into the role. But your department was undeterred, and not once, but twice, it tried to indict Attorney General James in separate courts. Both grand juries rejected you and refused to indict her. It is practically unheard of for a grand jury to refuse an indictment. In 2016, it happened in just 6 cases out of over 150,000 offenses. And you had it happen twice in the same week, in 2 different courts. That must have been humiliating. And now there are reports that you are continuing to investigate her. The amount of resources that have gone into targeting Attorney General James, months of investigations, multiple failed indictments.
She is married to somebody. Yo, she is twice her age, like facts. You know, a dude with power, too. I mean, he might be in the Epstein files also.
Indictments is astounding. Since your own prosecutors told you that there is
and she is 60 damn years old herself. Like, you know what I'm saying? So twice her age. Damn, it's like she fucking around with, what's the dude? Lex, what's his name? Wexner and shit. This old ass.
Not enough evidence to support a conviction. It's clear that you were going after her simply because she held President Trump accountable and he wants to punish her. And she is just one name on a long list of Trump political enemies that DOJ is reportedly targeting. From Jerome Powell and Lisa Cook at the Federal Reserve to James Comey, numerous Democratic members of Congress, John Brennan, Jack Smith, Democratic officials in Minnesota, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylors, and more. And those are just the ones we know about. In contrast to these politically motivated investigations, grasping at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators?
Yo, here's the outburst. Watch it. Here.
Are you even investigating.
But you know something? She does this on purpose. Like, she always does this. It's basically to gaslight, you see, to make it seem like your question is nothing, you know? Let's count the seconds.
I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
1, 2, 3, 4.
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer
theatrics
the
are
question the
ridiculous.
way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
the time belongs.
I think it's very interesting.
Reclaiming my time.
I think it's very interesting.
You can
that
reclaim
he
your
talks
time.
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted.
Mr.
The
Chairman.
president said they
Close the
indicted
clock.
him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and stop the
he
clock and
indicted-
restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will be in order.
theatrics.
The time
Reclaiming my
belongs
time
to the
and
gentleman
build back
from
the
New
clock,
York.
please.
We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when
Reclaiming
you ask
my-
a question, the witness
question
gets to
was-
answer. You may not like the answer, but she
Right.
gets to
The
answer.
question was, how
So
many
so
of
look, in the US government, right? You're allowed to filibuster. That means a person can ask you a direct question, and if you don't want to answer it, you can just start talking about aliens in the sky, like flat out, and you can just continue to talk because they only have 5 minutes to have their engagement, right? So this is the way that they do it in the US form of law, right? Which is highly problematic, right? And you can see the chair is Jim Jones. He's a person that's actually accused of sexual assault by Sasha Riley, like by a boy. A man who said he was assaulted by him when he was a boy on Epstein, you know, in one of these Epstein Trump parties. So you can kind of see basically the setup here. You know, this is a shut down, hide the Epstein files type of hearing. But in any case, you still get some good questions that, right?
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming
So
my-
he asked a
Reclaiming my
4-minute
time.
question.
Restore 45
and
seconds to
I
Mr.
am
Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Reclaiming-
Not on our time. No way.
Reclaiming-
And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me
Yeah, oh, I
anything,
did tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I
Not a
said that
few more,
already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now, Mr. Nadler. Go
All
right
right.
ahead.
My time. The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0. You have been the Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman
None of
has
the-
expired.
Now you see her answer is not going to have anything about releasing the name of the victims, which everyone is tripping on because that's actually what happened. Or her answer won't have anything to do with the names that were redacted of people that could be co-conspirators. The law that was passed, right, and signed just months ago demands that they release all the Epstein files, and the only thing they can redact is the victim's name, and they refuse to do that. So Congress is about to charge Pam Bondi $10,000 a day. That's the next thing that's about to happen. Watch.
Brought to justice, but enormous resources
Time of the
dedicated to
gentleman has
pursuing Trump's
expired,
enemies.
and
It's
obviously
clear
there
that
was-
under your leadership, the Department of Justice
There
no
was
longer
no
works for
question
American
in there
people. It works
for her to
for Donald
respond to.
Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
I think our next questioner, Madam Attorney General, is going to give you time to respond to
Thank you, Chairman.
all kinds of things. So we will turn to the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
Ms. Bondi, you go right ahead. I'm over here. The time is yours.
Thank you. First, he brought up the president saying they indicted me twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice, and you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016
He did. Trump literally came out and asked and sought foreign interference, and he's done that publicly.
election. Robert Mueller found no.
He went out there, and during the first election when Hillary Clinton was running against him, everybody knows it, in public, he asked Putin, can you please retrieve the emails from Hillary Clinton and share them with all of us? That's what he literally did.
Evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized?
Yeah, but that's not true. There is foreign interference from 2016. Look, that is crazy. I mean, listen, did the FBI find foreign interference in the 2016 election? Yeah, there was. Whether it made a difference in the outcome, that's another thing. But they did find it, and so this is a perfect example. I mean, just for people to hear. All right, the FBI and broader U.S. intelligence found here. I'm gonna play it for you so you hear it yourself. I mean, the lady's just there lying, and thank God we're here to hear her lie. But people that don't know the story here.
Yes, the FBI and the broader U.S. intelligence community found sweeping and systematic evidence of foreign interference in the 2016 election, primarily by Russia. The findings were detailed across several major investigations, including the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane probe and the special counsel investigation led by Robert Mueller.
Okay, so now let's listen to her.
During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016.
Now that's obviously whatever she's talking about is not right.
Key findings, of the FBI and DOJ. The hacking operation. The FBI confirmed that Russian military intelligence, the GRU, hacked the computer networks of the Democratic National Committee, DNC, and the campaign of Hillary Clinton.
Yes, they did.
They then leaked the stolen emails through personas like Goochfor 2.0 and the website WikiLeaks.
Yes, they did.
The Troll Farm campaign. The investigation found that the Internet Research Agency, IRA, a Russian company with ties to the Kremlin, conducted a massive social media campaign. They used fake accounts to spread disinformation, stoke social division, and boost Donald Trump's candidacy while damaging Clinton's.
Exactly.
Targeting election infrastructure. The FBI and DHS found that Russian actors targeted voting systems and databases in dozens of U.S. states, though they found no evidence that any actual vote tallies were changed.
Right.
Direct indictments. As a result of these findings, the DOJ indicted 12 Russian intelligence officers and 13 Russian nationals associated with the Troll Farm for their roles in the interference.
Exactly.
The distinct.
So here, what the hell is she talking about? They found all of this shit for 2026 election tampering.
You, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence.
Okay,
none.
so she's saying that they never concluded if Trump sought that information. The Russians were all up in Trump's campaign. You don't have to do much seeking. They're right there with you. You see what I mean? Hearing your concerns, hearing your desires. You know what I'm saying? So people need to understand that that's the sleight of word that's going on there. You see what I mean? Robert Mueller never found the la la la. Okay, whatever. In any case.
Of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to
Have you apologized to Jeffrey Epstein? Have you, you victims out there, have you apologized to him? No one has ever found that he did a damn thing to you. Have you apologized? Are you listening to this lady? This is the same thing. It's the same thing.
Sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016.
That's not right. He found plenty of foreign interference in 2016. The only thing they didn't know is if Trump personally asked for it. That's the only distinction there.
Have you apologized?
You see, so that's a false statement that the woman is making, that Pam Bondi is making. It doesn't matter if she's a woman, but in some way it does, because damn, a lot of the victims were girls. You know, you would think that she would be like, fuck this job. You know what I'm saying? But she's not. You would think she would be like, man, let these men defend themselves. But she's not doing that. You see what I mean? But it was. And you're right. This is Assange, Thomas, right? That's why Julian Assange ran to her. That's exactly why. And more, you know?
President Trump, have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages.
Look, but listen, you need to know that's not factually correct. This has been around before Obama. This has been around since Bush. You see what I'm saying? And actually, you know, and in fact, just so we can keep it factual, right? Let me see here. Was Bush the first? Was Bush the first? Who was let me see here. In the first, when he got off, who was president? President when Epstein got the sweetheart deal, right? You know, and keep in mind, when the prosecution happened, that's not when it started. It happened long before that. This is George W. Bush that was the president when he got the sweetheart deal. And this is already a decade in to what they've been doing. You see what I'm saying? No, this is more than decades. This is this is like 11 years. This is a decade already in to these activities and parties. You know, that's how long back it's been going. Listen.
George W. Bush was the president when Jeffrey Epstein's sweetheart deal was negotiated and signed. While there is often confusion because the case spans several years, the timeline of the Federal Non-Prosecution Agreement, NPA, is quite specific. September 24th, 2007.
So in any case, you can hear that she lied in front of everybody, the entire world. Look.
The president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration.
So you see, she basically lied. It's been around since Bush and both Bushes. It was the dude who was given the sweetheart deal by the DOJ that they claimed that they own. They literally told the victims, we own the DA in Florida. We own the FBI in Florida. We own the police in Florida. That Florida, right, a DA office. The DA office Pam Bondi belonged to. She was number 2 in the office. She took over after the number 1 guy went along with Trump to the White House. You see what I mean? Like, she took over. Then it was Bush. So you see how it's always partisan. It's always back to this Democrat trope thing, while they can't just keep it to the facts. Look, it shouldn't matter who the president was, but if you're going to name who he was, get it correct. It was Bush. And this had been going on a decade before Bush even was, a part of this. So it's kind of, the lady's just changing history, trying to change history.
Administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those.
And they were forced. They had to wait months and months. Democrats had to wait while MAGA Mike Johnson refused to refused to acknowledge, the elections in the Congress. So in other words, the Democrats had to wait, right, to be to get enough votes to have a disposition, right? A discharge petition, right? I'm sorry, a discharge petition. I hate saying discharge because it's not, but a discharge petition. The discharge petition is what they needed to have a vote on the floor about releasing the Epstein files. The Republicans, they only had 4 Republicans that would help. So the Democrats missed 1 person to make it 218. You need a minimum 218 votes, right, to get it done, just to have a vote on the floor. And so MAGA Mike Johnson instead of swearing in the Democrat that won the election in Arizona, Grijalda, he made her wait a month. So they've been delaying releasing the Epstein files the entire time, you know, and you just have to ask, why are you delaying it? You're the one who ran on it. Why do you keep delaying it? Why weren't you prepared on day one to go about releasing it when they already said they would release it? They haven't been doing anything but slowing it down. It's like a repeat of what happened in Florida, basically.
Documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them ask Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over.
I mean, listen, look, I'm not capping for them, but look, since there's nobody else up for trial, right? During that administration, Biden's administration, Maxwell was up for trial. So you can't actually release a whole bunch of information while Maxwell is on trial. You know what I mean? And they even plan on prosecuting some other people. But here's the thing. It appears that, again, the answer to everything is, why didn't the last administration do it? But why can't the last administration do that and have that suffice? Why can't the Biden administration say, well, how come the one before us didn't do it? That was Trump. Bingo. You see what I'm saying? So she's talking about the Biden administration didn't do it. There was not one peep. The Trump administration didn't do it. You know, this is Trump's second time being president. And he didn't do it the first time. It's crazy.
$50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records.
Right. What does this have to do? What does this have to do with anything? It's crazy. Americans can't even afford to buy the stock that she's talking about.
401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Exactly. And look, let's be honest. Most Americans don't have any option to even buy into this stuff, into stocks, because they don't make enough money to most Americans live month to month, paycheck. If they missing one or two paychecks, that's it. They out of a home, out of a house. And she's talking about the Dow is doing good, man. You know, the dollar is not doing good, by the way. The Dow is a private corporation. Did you know that? That has nothing to do with American citizens. That's private. You could be out cold on the street and the Dow could be doing the best it's ever done. In fact, you know what I mean? Why? Because it eats off of you. You know what I'm saying? So if it could buy up your home and make a profit, the Dow is doing good. You see what I mean? But if you can't afford to stay in your home, they don't talk about that in the Dow. You see?
The committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50.
In any case, yeah, we can't listen to this because I didn't come to hear about the Dow. Look, let me just anybody could find out. If you want to look at the stock market does good on some days, bad on some days. And listen, only right now, what's about to happen is the Trump administration, she's not going to say this, is refusing to release the official economic data from the actual what is it, the Treasury and these other ones. It's been delayed since until the 14th. That's this weekend. So on the 14th, this is coming out. That's Saturday, right? The new economic data for the U.S. is coming out. It's 4 different reports that has been delayed. By the way, on Friday, I'm just going to cover the stocks, too, about some stocks that you might want to be interested in and the stocks that I'm interested in, you know, and you can help me out because I want to take advantage of this impending disaster. You know what I'm saying? But hold on. Pizza guy, what's up, yo? The crazy thing is Pam said the survivors could meet her at any time and none of them met her. Exactly, bro. Exactly. They met her. She said this the first time. Still hasn't happened. You know, and again, I mean, this is, if you ask me, this is pure evil because whose job is it who would want the job of covering up the Epstein files? Like, who would want to personally carry that on their shoulder? She literally is carrying this on her shoulder. Like, every bit of screw up that the Department of Justice has made, she's carrying it personally because she's the head of the DOJ. Every victim that is like, what the hell is going on with our government? She is carrying that. Like, she chose to be the fall guy for this, and I just find it remarkable that it's a woman, like, I find it remarkable that they actually put a woman. I mean, I don't know, but I believe they did it on purpose. It's like a form of gaslighting. Like, if you put a woman up front, then obviously it wouldn't be that bad, right? No, this lady, I'm sorry. Like, people should be very afraid of this lady. Like, and I don't mean that. I don't mean anything about her, like, color or her hair color or I'm not talking about her ethnicity. I'm talking about what is inside of her. Like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like, this lady is literally capping for Donald Trump. She's speaking highly of Donald Trump, a person that everyone in the world knows is the nastiest human being they've ever met. And she's talking about him like he's a god. It's insane.
50,000 for the first time.
Look, gold, the dollar went up. The dollar went down and gold went up. As soon as the dollar loses value, people don't want to put their money in American dollars and they buy gold. The gold it just went up under Trump tremendously, almost 4 times. Now it's at 3 times since Trump came into office, but it was up to 4. Now when this new economic data comes out, it's going to be worse. But let's see.
25%. And that's not necessarily because of the task force, although that perception of Mary Young.
Let me try to bring it back to when he comes in here. Sorry about that. Here we go. I don't want to skip over too many people, but let's see here. Here we go. Here.
Answer. Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence?
Okay, now we got a good question about Epstein.
Noting that she was, quote, a little freaked out by the age difference and stating that he would try to convince her not to return to Ukraine. He then instructs Mr. Tisch to call him, adding, I don't like records of these conversations. So I'd like to ask a straightforward question that really is either a yes or no answer. Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence warning further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Do you think yes or no?
I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you. But
there you go. You see that? You see? Like, I mean, what is unreasonable about that question? And this is what they do every time. They're not going to let she's not going to tell people anything. She's not going to take a position on anything, and you got to ask her why. Why is it? Like, who is she protecting? Who is she protecting? What interest does she have protecting the person in this email?
Mr. Tisch to call him, not quote a woman public here today.
I'm fine to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would note that Mr. Nadler's question has not yet been answered, but I want to start by asking that out of respect for the American public and the Epstein survivors, some of whom, of course, are here today, that we can have a transparent conversation and get the public the answers they deserve. I want to briefly direct your attention to 2 documents I'm hoping we will put up on the screen. In the first, an individual emails Jeffrey Epstein asking whether a woman identified as M was pro or civilian, and Epstein responds that she was a civilian, Russian, and fun. In the second email, Epstein writes to Steve Tisch about a Ukrainian girl, noting that she was, quote, a little freaked out by the age difference and stating that he would try to convince her not to return to Ukraine. He then instructs Mr. Tisch to call him, adding, I don't like records of these conversations. So I'd like to ask a straightforward question that really is either a yes or no answer. Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence warning further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Do you think yes or no?
I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you, but I will answer the question to the best of my ability. As I said, we will look and invest.
Filibuster time. Time to talk about aliens on the moon.
Investigate any case involving any victim. I'm not familiar, there were 3 million pages, of course, with that email, but of course, we will look into anything. The document.
This is what they've been saying the entire time. And then earlier, just 6 months earlier, Cass Patel was like, we haven't found any other co-conspirators. If there was, I would have prosecuted them. And then lo and behold, 6 new co-conspirators outed. You know what I mean? Like, yo, Pizza Guy says, the crazy thing is that they will arrest a cooking show host for insider trading. Yeah, but Trump tariff market manipulation is okay. Exactly. I mean, I don't know. Listen, all I could say is that if you're an American citizen, doesn't matter what party you're in, if you're an American citizen and you think this is okay, what's going on in the U.S. is okay, I'm just going to tell you, don't believe the hype, you know, follow your instinct. You know, deep down inside, this is not okay. You know, what you're seeing is something extremely wrong with this administration. Anybody can tell. Look, when you go outside of the U.S., it doesn't matter what party people are with. Everyone realizes something is terribly wrong in the U.S. It doesn't matter if you with the right wing, the left wing, the center right, the center left. It's like everyone is in agreement. Something is terribly going wrong inside of the USA. They just can't, you know, they know what it is. They know what it is, but it's better to prepare than to say. You know, it's not going to do them any good saying, but they've already come out and said Trump is obviously compromised by Putin. They've already come out in the EU and said it. So American citizens, that's what the EU thinks. So they don't trust Trump. You see what I mean? Now, why American citizens still trust Trump when his own administration won't get to the bottom of the Epstein files, which has Russian implications in it. Trafficking implications, espionage implications, why they won't do it, it looks like a cover-up. You know, it looks like a cover-up.
3 million, the redacted versions, we left them open for all of you.
Look, if they put out 3 million, you know the next 3 million are way worse. You know, have you seen some of the stuff that's come out in this 3 million? Why would you release the worst shit first, right? Obviously, what's coming next is way worse. It's probably the big chunk of the most horrific allegations are in there, you know. So people need to, you know, they ain't going to release them. I don't think they're going to do it. You're never going to get, I think 3 million. They're going to at least have to keep half of that they won't release. I'm pretty sure, because the only reason why they've been releasing this is because of pressure from the Democrats, the minority party that could finally get a few Republicans to join their side and make sure it was released. You know, Trump would look like an asshole if he didn't sign it, right? He ran on it, right? But they're not. He knows that they weren't ever planning on releasing it, so he could sign the bill, you know? So he also knows his time is ticking. He knows that once this administration is up, everyone is going to know what's up. Like, he can only withhold these files so long.
To come view, have you? I believe you view them. If not, will you have some copies?
I'd like to.
Good looking out, Pizza Guy. I appreciate that, man.
But could I finish, please? I'm not being rude. Please.
I only have 5 minutes.
No, yeah, and I only have 30 seconds based on your filibuster.
You didn't give a yes or no answer, so let me just go further.
Yeah, she asked for a yes or no question, and the lady just refused to say yes or no. Like, she doesn't want to allow the congressperson to do her job, the congresswoman to do her job. Ask the questions the way she needs to have it answered because they're lacking time. And she's saying, no, forget you lacking time. I'm going to take up all this time so you only get to ask me 2 questions and that's it. And then on to the next one. And then I can go home to my job. To my home that's paid for by the taxpayers, you know?
So let me just go further. Director Patel testified in this committee room that there was no credible information indicating that Epstein trafficked victims to anyone else. And glancing at the documents, that's proves that's not the case. In July, your department issued a memo stating that it had conducted an exhaustive review of the Epstein files and concluded that no additional individuals would be charged. So I did go over to the Department of Justice.
Facts, Dennis.
I would note that 400 and all our 35 members are in the House, and there's 4 computers. So it would take many months to actually have the time. I only had a few hours. I think the transparency argument is really kind of a sham because it's not
Wait,
really
whoa,
possible.
whoa, whoa. Did you have to wait to get a computer?
It is not possible to really go in. I did, however, see a U.S. attorney information for the Southern District of New York indicating that there were additional survivors and probable co-conspirators. Other members of Congress have uncovered likely co-conspirators whose names were blocked out.
You know, the problem here with Pam Bondi is she's acting like she's defending someone. Like she's actually acting like she's litigating. She's in court right now being the litigator, the one who's defending a witness, right? Or a defendant or you see what I'm saying? Like, because how she interjected there is like, wait. I mean, that's what a lawyer would do in a courtroom, right? But she is the one who's actually the defendant here, and for her to do that, it's really, really strange because she's the one that's supposed to be protecting the American people. She's supposed to be willing to participate in this hearing. She's supposed to be happy to get any question and to be able to answer it and to answer them quickly and clearly. You see what I mean? But she's acting like, no, she's defending someone. And obviously the defendant is her. That's weird. She's not supposed to be a defendant, but she is. They're telling her you haven't released these files. And that's what puts her in the defense position, right? But the way she's responding is acting like she didn't do anything wrong, acting like there's no law that says you have to release the files right now. They didn't follow any of it. They said not only were they supposed to release the files, but any redaction, they're supposed to give an explanation for it. And they didn't even do that. You see, so
survivors and probable co-conspirators.
Now they're telling congressional members that instead of releasing the files, you can come in and look at the files, but you can't take pictures. You can only take notes, and you only have there's only a certain amount of computers there, this kind of thing. That's what she was getting at. Like, you don't have a computer? Come on. But they're not going to let them bring their own computers in there. No one's allowed to. It's protocol. You see, it's them who have to provide the computers that are used. That's the security thing. Anybody knows this that's paying attention. Come on. That's how you secure information. You don't let people come in with their phones and their computers. Come on. They're supposed to provide the computers that are going to be used, and they won't do it. They won't do it.
Other members of Congress have uncovered likely co-conspirators.
Oh, hell yeah. Dr. G is going to have a field day on this. Thank you, Dr. G, for everything you do.
Whose names were blocked out. Now, the Epstein File Transparency Act, which all but one member of this House voted for and the president signed, requires the department to release everything except that it needs to be redacted to protect the victims or an ongoing prosecution, which apparently there is no.
Look, she's acting like that's not a real law. She's breathing like another Democrat sham. That law doesn't mean we're supposed to release those files like it says.
That it needs to be redacted to protect the victims or an ongoing prosecution, which apparently there is none from the testimony we have received. I am concerned that this act has not been fully complied with. When Director Patel came to the committee, he admitted that up to 1,000 FBI agents had gone through the files and redacted President Trump's name from them. And it's pretty clear that what has been transmitted from the FBI continues to redact President Trump's name, even though he is mentioned thousands of times in these files. So I think the credibility of the department in terms of complying with the act has been damaged. And I think the department's credibility has been damaged in other ways. I think we all saw the horrible video of American citizens being killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis. And I think how the department has handled these cases raises a lot of doubt about the department. State and local police in Minnesota got a court order to get access to the crime scene to be sure evidence would be properly preserved by federal agents. But they took the agents defied the court order, and in a departure from general policy, the DOJ is not collaborating with state and local law enforcement on these homicides. So I really think that is a disgraceful approach to the homicides of American citizens, and really does nothing to bring credit to your department. And, Mr. Chairman, I would yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
Attorney General can respond.
I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure, this isn't a circus, this is a hearing.
The greatest president in American history? Like, is that how you defend this guy, by saying he's the greatest president of American history? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, she's not even attempting to make it seem like she is even caring. Like, she's more concerned with flattering Trump than even the victims in the room and what they're thinking. This is
going
crazy.
After President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure, this isn't a circus, this is a hearing. I find it interesting she keeps going after Donald Trump. She doesn't say how much money she took from Reid Hoffman.
Look, I was going to say that, they accused her before of bringing in notes, attack notes. So instead of answering the questions or responding to what's being said, she will pull out a note that says, oh, you were doing this with this person and that person. And that, exactly.
Did you? And nor did
Mr. Chairman.
Look, she did this last time, and then they had a fact check on her, like for a week and shit. You know what I'm saying? And now she's doing it again. Like, the woman doesn't care. She is willing to spit lies like that. Like, seriously, it's a shame. Like, young women, young men. I don't want to preach to women, but young people, do not follow this example. Young people, do not follow this example. This is not cool at all. This is no ethics and no morals. And it's cool to have ethics and morals, actually.
Regular order, please.
She
Regular
posted
order.
nothing on her X account, on her Twitter account during the Biden years.
Gentlelady.
Who the fuck? You're not even supposed to be using the X and Twitter. It's them who made that shit popular. What the fuck? She's acting like government agencies are supposed to, and congressional members are just supposed to be all on Twitter and X, and like, nah, that's a new thing with the advent of the Trump and the Elon Musk administration. That's not normal.
All of a sudden,
Question
she's
asked.
going after
Committee will be in
point of
order.
There was no question
be in
asked
order.
of the Attorney General. She doesn't just get to speak.
Committee.
You see, shame on you. This is what the victims were saying about the Department of Justice. Shame on you. And you see the gaslighting, so she's throwing it back out. Like, you're supposed to be ashamed of wondering why they haven't released the files yet.
I have a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Committee will be in order.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Lady can state her point of order.
I mean, I don't see how she can smile. I don't see how she can smile with these victims. They're in the audience. The victims are in the audience. It's crazy.
When a witness attacks.
Not a valid point of order. You got to state.
She hasn't completed her point of order yet. Please let her speak, Mr. Chairman. Let's have some regular order here.
Regular order is you got to state the rule. And
I am trying to make a point of order that the witness,
And what rule are you referring to?
without responding to a question, has attacked me personally. I think it's pathetic that she can't answer the questions and
First
instead
time
is
that
attacking
is not even close
members
to a
of the
point of
committee.
order. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
In August of last year, I sent a letter to the Department of Justice asking for assistance in seeking compensation for the town of Lac du Flambeau. Town of Lac du Flambeau is in my district, and your office replied that it was an ongoing matter and unable to comment on it, which I understand is just fine. But I want to set this up just as a reminder. So 3 years ago, it was at this time of year that 4 roads were blockaded in the town of Lac du Flambeau, and the temperature was 25 below.
4 years ago? Okay, they're talking about Biden now, so let's not do that. If I have that correct, 4 years ago was when Biden was in office, so that's not what we want to know about. We want to only know about what's supposed to be happening today with this government. You know what I'm saying? All right, Dylan. Yo, peace, man. Peace. Catch up with you, man. Thanks for coming through. Yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. Let me see something. So they have, but this is how they do it. It's Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. So hardball, softball, and this is how it's being done. Unfortunately, this is what Congress and the Senate, it's Republican-led Congress, Republican-led Senate, and this is how they want things to be. They don't want Trump impeached. They want this administration to continue doing what it's doing, and it's been they've just been devastating the American people. I mean, really robbing the American people, pillaging the economy, using tax dollars to enrich their billionaire associates in the administration, while keeping people locked out of healthcare, keeping people, people about to get kicked out of homes, because of this, firing people all across the government. I mean, just from one day to the next.
Secondly, I'd like to.
It's about to be have a huge culmination, and soon all of these things, the dollar dropping, the tariffs, the firing of hundreds of thousands of Americans, it's way more than that. The businesses firing people, private industry firing people. It's about to all culminate into something that's not good.
Thank all of the victims of the case who come here to attend this hearing for doing it and for being brave and trying to move this justice forward.
What's up, MJ?
I can't do it with the Attorney General not recognizing you. That's embarrassing. I am from Memphis, General Bondi, and Memphis does have the task force there. The Memphis Safe Task Force has been operating in Memphis for several months, and we do have a Democratic Mayor, Paul Young, and he's not against the task force, but he is against ICE being in Memphis, and he's not in favor of the National Guard being in Memphis. And I concur with him on those positions. I think the DEA being there, the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, the FBI, who have been in Memphis in other ways, having more people there is good for Memphis. Crime has gone down in Memphis, but it went down 25% before the task force got there under the direction of Mayor Young and Director Davis.
Exactly. And this is the thing. Crime has been going down across the country before Trump even came into office, and they're like making it sound like, they're making it sound like it's them who started this crime reduction spree,
Chief Davis. It's gone down about 15% more since then, and that's good. But I would like to comment that Mexico City's homicide rate has gone down 40% during the same time when Memphis has only gone down 25%, and that's not necessarily because of the task force, although
right, because there's a lot of ways to fight crime. How about this? How about homeless shelters help fight crime? How about child care helps fight crime? How about a decent wage help fights crime? How about apartment insurance, to keep people in their homes when their economy starts wavering? That helps stops crime. How about access to education? That helps stop crime.
The mayor says he thinks it's helped, so I thank you for that. You would agree, I presume, that violent crime in communities across our country is critically important, and that's why the task force is there. Is that not true?
Yes, and if I can just add to that, I think the surge, the FBI, our FBI under the leadership of Director Patel, came in and did a surge in Memphis.
Earlier.
Prior to the task force.
Yeah,
and thank you for saying
Yeah, and that's Biden.
that about Mayor Young. He's been great to work with. Came in and did a surge in Memphis.
Earlier.
Prior to the task force.
Yeah,
and thank you for saying that about Mayor Young. He's been great to work with, and thank you.
He's a good guy.
He's a very good guy.
One problem I've got with where we are in priorities here. A recent Department of Justice, National Institute of Justice report based on arrest records in Texas and in California found that undocumented immigrants were less than half as likely as U.S.-born Americans to be arrested for homicide. And this pattern holds for assault, sexual assault, robbery, burglary, theft, and arson. Half as likely to be arrested for drug offenses. So I ask you, and I've written to you about this, there are TV ads that run that say to local law enforcement, specifically, says, are you tired of having your hands handcuffed because you can't do the things you wanted to do when you joined, and if you want to do something different, join ICE and you'll get a $50,000 bonus and we'll pay off your debts, student debts, and we'll help you with pensions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're encouraging local law enforcement to leave local law enforcement and go to work for ICE. We need people working in the front lines and local law enforcement to protect our citizens from the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst are not the immigrants. The worst of the worst records show are native-born Americans, and they are committing crimes that hurt our citizens and our cities. And you're working against it, and thank you for that. But by trying to get our local law enforcement, where we have an undercount of officers in Memphis, to leave Memphis and go to work for ICE to deport people is a wrong priority. Why are we trying to get people, policemen who are working on the front lines, to leave the front lines, take the $50,000 and go to work for ICE? And instead of working to fight the worst of the worst?
Congressman, I have not yet seen that commercial, that ad. I would argue that we need strong people in both local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and all of our federal agencies working together. I've seen some of the worst violent criminals who were in this country illegally.
There we go again. So the data shows, and this is not to make excuses for any crime that any illegal immigrant does or commits. You know, get them out of the country if they commit a crime. I love that idea. However, the data shows that basically 90% of the violent crime and serious crime going on in the United States of America is owned by American citizens. Like, seriously. So he just pointed that out to her and said that they're missing officers. They're taking officers from state police, and, you know, people that need to fight the crime on that level, and removing them and sending them to chasing around immigrants in the manner that they do. That is wandering around just saying, oh, you look like this. Let me stop you and find out if you're illegal. That's what he just posed to her. And she went right back into the worst of the worst is the illegals. But if there's 50 axe murderers that are from the United States of America and born and raised and citizens, why is one axe murderer that is an illegal immigrant? Why is that worse? Why is that worse? You know, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just.
We both know that. And in Memphis.
No, we don't.
Working hand in hand. I want to stick with Memphis and your mayor and what you discussed, because there have been nearly 6,000 arrests as of February 8th. And I think you agree with this, in your district, and almost 600 gang members. What we found in Memphis, a lot of the gangs are local gangs. But 600 gang members were taken off the streets.
Exactly. She's not answering the question. The data's already out there. The bottom line is American citizens control the crime market in the United States. We do. We're not little bitches. We like crime also. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? She's confusing illegal immigrants with immigrants too. Exactly. Look. But look, she's acting like American citizens, like we don't know how to do crime and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's acting like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. She just won't answer the question about the multitude of criminals in the United States. She's refusing to do it. She wants to go to the minute aspect of it, which is illegal immigrants, you know, that don't even really commit that much crime at all. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
I thank you for that.
And 148 missing children were recovered by all of us working together, and nearly 1,000 illegal guns were seized as a result of us working together.
And I don't disagree with some of the things you said, but there are questions about those children, but it's a different thing.
Yeah. You know, I mean, obviously, let me see if I can catch somebody that came in on a hot pocket. Here we go. Let's see if this works out. Boom. Who is this right here?
Times Trump's name.
All right, here we go.
California. Great, thank you. Madam Attorney General, you acknowledged earlier to Mr. Johnson that President Trump was mentioned and the release countless times, you said, in the Epstein files. I just want to play a video, though, for you that I think speaks to the frustration that.
Yeah, MJ, you say they can't arrest the criminals. They won't have a job. They're not arresting the Epstein people, the co-conspirators. They're the biggest ones. How can you not be trying to arrest the biggest sex traffic scheme in the history of the country, right? How can you not be trying to prosecute people on that? And you're out here talking about you trying to prosecute criminals. I mean, this is the gaslighting. Like, seriously. And if you let that slip, then you are going to be abused. You know what I mean? Because this is what they're doing. It's like hiding the biggest crime and then distracting and going and looking for the small amounts of crime somewhere else. It's crazy.
Times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at least be 1,000 times?
We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want.
Okay, hold on. See, so they played back what was said before. So now they're gonna play it here. Let me get everybody, make sure everybody hears that question.
Time is, the gentleman's expired, but the gentlelady can respond.
Congress, but with my phone records being surveilled as well as
Democrat or Republican, we will fight vigorously to.
Attorney General, the DOJ has changed their policy. You can't do that now. The DOJ is not going to go do that and ask the judge for an NDO.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. That in and of itself tells you why how wrong it was. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California.
All right, here we go. Let's do it again. Okay, hold on. You hit the pizza guy said you hit the nail on the head. I really enjoy listening. Oh, I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate it, man. I mean, I'm just doing what I can do, but at least we having a good conversation here, you know, and enlightening people too, because a lot of people don't really know the details, all of the details, and it's important to go over them because you will miss it. It's actually some huge shit going on here, and there's too many details. So but I appreciate you, bro. Much respect to you too, man.
Thank you. Madam Attorney General, you acknowledged
I'm gonna open up the lines in a second, in like 5 minutes.
Earlier to Mr. Johnson that President Trump was mentioned and the release countless times, you said, in the Epstein files. I just want to play a video, though, for you that I think speaks to the frustration that many of these victims have. Of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at least be 1,000 times?
We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want it.
Claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
it's not. It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number.
I understand why the victims are frustrated, and the Attorney General acknowledged what Mr. Patel would not acknowledge, that it was way more than 1,000 times. But I want to move, Madam Attorney General, to weaponization of government. And yesterday it was reported that 6 members of Congress had indictments sought against him, and they were not returned by a grand jury. My colleagues have spoken about their frustration of being in subpoenas and having cell phone records combed through.
Right. So this is the government. The government is trying to indict ex-military and government officials, members of Congress and just different ex-military people that are serving in different capacity in government who came out and made a public statement saying, do not follow illegal orders to military. They're speaking to military. Right. And the government is trying to prosecute them for making that statement. Right now, why you would be prosecuted for telling people what the law is makes no sense. But this is the Trump administration. And what does it show you in projection? It shows you that if they're worried about that, then the obvious question is, what are you trying to get? Are you trying to get these people to follow illegal orders? Is that what you're trying to do? Like, how could you be against telling people don't follow illegal orders? It just doesn't make any sense.
2018, Adam Schiff and I had our cell phone records and email records combed through, not by you, but a different Department of Justice under the president. It was in retaliation for our role in the Russia interference campaign. An Inspector General report would find this improper and that the predicate for it was absurd. In 2020, after sitting on 2 committees that were a part of the president's first impeachment, an FBI agent leaked my cooperation in a national security case where my campaign was targeted. The president's FBI senior leadership authorized 2 statements to the press that said I was never suspected of wrongdoing and only helped the investigation. But that didn't stop the death threats or my GOP colleagues from referring me to an ethics investigation where Kevin McCarthy's chairman on the ethics committee would find the same thing as the FBI. Our current FBI director would then write a book called Government Gangsters and identify a long list of enemies. About a quarter of them have been either investigated or indicted. He listed me at the very top along with Adam Schiff, and during that same testimony refused to recuse himself when asked if he would recuse if any case came across his desk involving me or people on that list. Since that testimony, his department has put me under investigation with Senator and Schiff for the nonsense mortgage fraud cases that we've seen. I get it. This is what the president does. I've priced it in. We have a bingo card at home that my kids have made of what will come next. I expected that the president would come after his enemies. But what I want to talk to you next is serious, and I did not expect this would happen, and I'd like your help on it. The president has inspired death threats against me and many sitting up here with me. In June 2025, an individual left 11 voicemails at my district office. On the voicemails, they said, "Get the message to him. I'm gonna hunt him down, that motherfucker, and toss his ass over the Golden Gate Bridge by my fucking self." Donald Trump's Department of Justice in the Northern District of California declined to prosecute. On May 14, 2025, on Twitter, responding to something I posted, an individual said, "No, it wasn't Eric, and now I'm going to kill you." The Department of Justice from the Southern District of Texas declined to prosecute. May through December of 2025, we received messages at my office that said, "I hope somebody shoots you and your children and your wife in the head. Pew, pew, motherfucker, pew, pew." I would stay indoors as much as possible, and my children, unfortunately, have to do that. The Department of Justice has not charged this individual and cited that he's a prolific caller and has health conditions, although what we have found in our own investigation and his voicemails is that he has said he will employ others to do this. The president can come after me. It's fine. I'm in the arena. So are these folks. But we never expected that the Department of Justice would not seek to prosecute and investigate those who are making threats against us. And that would include those on that side of the aisle. And I'm just asking for your help to protect life, because life is at risk with the environment we're in right now.
Congressman, I completely agree with you. I know about several of those personally involving you. I believe one has been charged publicly, and there's something I would be happy to talk to you about off camera, but I can assure you that they are very serious. They are being looked into, and I can give you more details on those. None of you should be threatened, ever. None of your children should be threatened.
Sorry, but the U.S. government has a poor record. They got a poor record of, convicting, even prosecuting and investigating death threats, and that's just general. Let me see here. Let me see. What is the, how many death threats, get prosecuted by the federal government on average, made towards government officials in any capacity? I mean, it's not actually a good percentage of prosecutions. It's more likely that death threats is a part of your job, what's going to happen, what you could expect, sadly enough. But let me see here. Let me play this back. I'm not sure if this is finished. Hold on. Yeah, it says federal prosecutors for, okay, hold on. Here it is.
Federal prosecutions for threats against government officials are relatively rare compared to the total number of threats reported, but they have been increasing significantly in recent years. According to data from the Department of Justice, DOJ, and specialized reviews from organizations like the CTC at West Point, here is the breakdown of averages and trends. Federal prosecution statistics. Historical average, 2013 to 2016, roughly 38 federal charges were filed per year. Recent average, 2017 to 2022, the number jumped to an average of 62 federal charges per year. Recent peak, by late 2024 and 2025, some analyses of publicly reported incidents showed federal prosecutions were on pace to hit record highs, with hundreds of individuals being investigated or charged annually as the DOJ ramped up its focus.
Okay, so you can hear that's under the Biden administration, obviously, 2024, right? So let's continue.
On ideologically motivated threats. The prosecution gap. There is a massive difference between the number of threats made and the number of prosecutions filed. For example, U.S. Capitol Police, in 2024, they investigated 9,474 concerning statements and direct threats against members of Congress. Federal judges, the U.S. Marshals Service reported protecting over 2,700 judges and 30,300 prosecutors in 2024, managing thousands of threats, yet only a small fraction, usually dozens, result in a federal indictment. Why are so few prosecuted? Federal prosecutors typically only bring charges if they can meet the high, true threat, legal standard established by the Supreme Court.
Right. So federal officials, 52%, right? Percentage of incidents. Federal officials, 52%. Local state servants, 33%. Judges make up 15%. So federal officials, that's congressmen, senators, these kind of things. The president, judges, right? These are all federal officials. I think governors also, right? Or is that state? But in any case, yeah. So I don't believe Pam Bondi at all. But in any case, the real issue is that the president is the one who calls for these things. He uses his social media to basically sick people on other folks. I mean, when he doesn't get his way. So her promising to do something about it is like saying, I'm going to face Trump and tell him to stop. And she's never going to do that.
Be threatened. And I will work with, you can come into my office any day. I will work with all of you on both sides of the aisle if you are ever threatened. And I'll gladly talk to you after this hearing about your cases. But I can tell you some of them are very active.
Appreciate that. Now yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and we're sorry for what the gentleman and his family have had to go through. We appreciate what the Attorney General said.
Yeah. Okay. Let me drop the link real quick. Maybe somebody wants to get up here actually on the Discord. Did I put it in the link already? I think I did. Let me see. And let me know. Okay, I don't see anybody in the back chat, but here's the link again in case anybody wants to hop up. And then I'm going to get out of here. Obviously, there's more to this. This is going to be going. It's probably still going on right now. We will see. But it's a big day. Yeah. Call in right now, pizza guy. Here we go. We got I'm in the room. I'm in the back server right now. So let me say join voice room, and there we go. Oh, you up here? Okay. Let me drop the link again. Maybe. Oh, you already in here. You're already in here. Let me drop the link again, and then I'm gonna say invite. Maybe you can see that inside of your Discord app. There you go. So yeah, protect the kids. I mean, Pam Bondi, I don't know what's going on. It's just a hot mess. I'm not really feeling confident about anything that they're doing right now in the DOJ. It just seems like whatever, more of the same. Yo, pizza guy, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, good to have you up, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support too, bro.
Oh yeah, no problem. It just was a stream. I really enjoy listening to your channel while I'm driving.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate it, man. I do my best. We hanging in there. But what's on your mind, man? What did you get out of this hearing, man? Did you hear anything? Like, are you hearing anything? Are you impressed or what? What's your thoughts?
I'm impressed because the Thomas Massey, that guy Kyle, the guy from California, and also Don Bacon.
Okay.
I'm glad that they voted against this tariff thing, man, because the tariff thing is crazy.
Right. Oh, you're talking about, okay, I got you.
Market manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. You're not talking about the hearing here with Bondi. You're talking about another hearing,
no,
right?
With Bondi, it's like, it's insane, what they're doing. That the Department of Justice has, I think only, less than, 10 or 20 people left in it or something.
Right. Yeah.
The Department of Justice. It's normally supposed to have hundreds, up to 1,000 people, but it has less than less than 20.
Yeah, people quit. People just quit. Just walked out, man. It's crazy. They have no staff. They got no staff. They got no support staff. She got to do it all by herself. That's crazy.
But see, the scariest thing is there are a lot of people who are so loyal to the MAGA base. People who are so loyal to the Republican Party or to the MAGA. Mainly MAGA, but it's they're so loyal. I know I saw Texas, one of the seats flipped.
Right.
That was it was a plus 15 for Trump, and then it flipped into a minus 5.
Right.
So I guess people are, but still, the fact that so many people are still supporting Trump, it's nuts.
Yeah. It's hard to know. It is a significant amount that's still supporting them, but it's really hard to know exactly what the amount is by going online, because obviously you can't identify people online anymore, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the recent polls, you can see that the Democrats are making gains, but at the same time that the Democrats are making gains,
right.
it's still nuts. Like, it's unacceptable what's going on.
Yeah, that's real street
The
polling.
fact that anyone supports Trump, like the fact that just one person supports Trump, it's like, and imagine the people who aren't even getting paid. I can get influencers and stuff like that, but if you're not getting paid to support this guy, then
right.
I just don't understand. Like that might be a serious problem with mental health in this country, to be honest, man.
Hey, and it's nothing wrong with saying that, because society there's a lot of pressure on people every day, to make ends meet, to try to survive. And a lot of times I think people break down, man, and go after anything else, anything they can get their hands on, out of confusion, out of desperation. And but the mental health, yeah, man, we don't do mental health in the US, bro. We're not interested in it. And it's a new thing for us, but we get like a lot of these things, we get into it late. Too late to take it serious. We have children growing up in violent communities, and I'm not saying it to not violent communities, maybe that experience violence, like myself, man. I grew up in a nice town, Washington, D.C., beautiful town, loved the town, wouldn't have traded my upbringing for anything in the world. However, there's one thing that was also there once I became a teenager, right? And that's in the late 80s, that's in the 80s and 90s. And that was DC went through a lot of violence, gun violence. And to be a young man and have to witness this and think about this and have this on your mind all the time and negotiate these things, that was definitely not a plus. It wasn't a plus. So when we look at today, we don't even, we don't even go back and say, wow, what did that do? All that violence, what did that do to young people's minds? How did it affect our communities, man? And then not to mention, what is it to be a parent and to struggle every day and wonder about what's going to happen to your child, how you're going to take care of your child, or is your child safe? I mean, yo, man, the U.S. is hard living, bro. It's a hard life to live.
In Europe, do they have like childcare, like the European government?
Yeah, man. Just childcare is it could always be better, but it is prioritized. Childcare and elder care here where I am is prioritized. Like, it's built into the law. So it depends on how much money you make, and everything is very specific. It's very detailed. It's not so generalized, right? But in other words, if they look at how much you make, they look at what your cost of living is, because it could be different from every person. And then they decide how much assistance you might need or you qualify for. And it's not assistance that is like special. It's for everybody. It's basically, how the law works. You see what I'm saying? So I'll give you an example. They have something called Bondi seekering. That's housing insurance. So if all of a sudden you're on unemployment, you only get like 80% of your salary then when you're on unemployment, a lot of people. So that means you're getting less money, but your cost of living is still high, right? So the Bondi seekering might kick in, and that means that they subsidize part of your, cost, whatever your rental is, and, these kind of things. When you have a child here, everybody gets a check. When you live with your children, everybody that lives with a child gets a check for each child. That's everybody. You see what I mean? It doesn't matter how much. Yeah.
Europe is still like, advancing, but like we're going so far back. I'm like scared that we're going to probably pull Europe back, you know what I mean? Because
exactly, man. Yo.
You see like with the whole right wing stuff and all, but I don't want to get into the politics, but just the fact that we're downgrading our technology and we're getting rid of solar and wind, that alone is just crazy.
It's holding back everybody. It's holding. You're right, man. We're becoming a ball and chain.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the solution is, honestly, but I don't know. It's like right now we just gotta hope that the Democrats can get big in. But then the problem is like they need 261 congressmen and they need like 66 senators or something, which they can get, but we need everyone in America to wake up. You know what I mean?
You know what I think we need? You know what I think we need, bro? I think we need these goddamn podcasters to stop talking about stupid shit and start talking about the math. Like, really get into the comparative data. Show the American people what is being wasted. Like, and don't do it in partisan terms. Like, show them, just compare. What do tax dollars go to in Europe? How much of the tax dollars benefit you that you pay in your that directly impact your everyday life? Look, I have some of those private streams for people, for members, where we're only talking about that, going through the data. 50% at best, 50%. This is at best 50% of American citizens that when you pay taxes, at best 50% of your taxes directly affect your life. At best. Soon as you leave the U.S., it goes up to 60%, some countries 70%, and in Denmark it's 70 to 75%. That accounts for health care. That accounts for, those tax dollars account for health care, child care, housing insurance, a lot of things. So in other words, more of the tax dollars that people pay in Europe is going to protect the, security.
But one thing I will say about that is I support USAID, and I think other than Israel, I think like we should be supporting other countries, especially Europe,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do think the government should spend, that's obviously been cut, but I feel like maybe 50%, 40%, it's okay. But what's going on now? It's like Trump is suing the DOJ for like $10 billion or whatever.
Right.
And they're his yes man, so they're just gonna. It's just, and the Supreme Court is gonna allow it too. This is just like the most insane thing, most insane, blatantly corrupt thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And
this is $10 billion that could go to another country that we could help. You know what I mean?
But
or
look,
we could send that to Ukraine.
Yeah, but look, even the money, even the funds that we're talking about, for something like, let me see something. Let me just pull it up real quick. How much of the what percentage of the federal dollars? What percentage of the
I saw the tax cuts. The OBB, the the OBBB Act.
Yeah.
That was so crazy how they gave all those billionaires so much money back. Like that's insane. And then they said, like that's unhealthy. We can't. That's crazy.
Right. Right.
That what really made me start to hate Trump, because before, I wasn't like.
You know what it is, bro?
And then the people fell for it. It's like Jim Jones level lying.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about this. They are lying. Think about this. This is what it is. 28% of federal tax dollars goes to Medicare and other health programs that don't even guarantee people get access to them. So that means every person that's paying taxes is paying into Medicare, but you can't afford the deductibles to get nothing out of it. You can't afford the copays.
And that's the problem, is our health is so neglected. You know what I mean? Like let's talk about mental health. Like the Democrats, they lost because they were talking about gender identities. But if you actually looked at the gender dysphoria and the things that they're talking about, it was all stuff that was going to help Americans mentally. You know what I mean? Like all psychological stuff that we kind of need. And now, since there was so much kickback to that, now look, we got crazy people everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely crazy.
It is crazy, man. It's neglect. It's a lack of care, bro. And I'm saying this really wholeheartedly. As an American citizen, I'm so happy and grateful that I actually live outside of the U.S. and have experienced living in another country, because I see and I understand what the value of it is. I'm much more calmer. I'm actually able and happy to give back. I'm happy to contribute. You see what I mean? I'm not feeling like the world is against me or anything like that. I feel like, what I put out is what I get in. And that's how you want to feel when you live your life. But in the U.S., man, come on, man. We got to admit, most people feel like they're working their ass off and getting very little back out of it. And
not a question. Like for Greenland also gets the same health care as Denmark, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, they do?
I don't know the exact details, but I know they have universal health care and universal education. Same program.
That's crazy. So why would they ever want to give that up? You know what I mean? Like
they never would. That's what they're saying. They're saying they would never do that. It's a preposterous idea.
That's my problem. It's like, so I believe that the U.S., we're supposed to be the people. After World War II, we kind of became the leader of the free world. So Germany and Japan collapsed, and Italy and Europe was all in flames, like France.
Right.
So I think that as America, we should be investing heavily in protecting Europe and also defending our allies and like NATO and stuff. But the crazy thing is that Trump wants to attack Greenland and do all this like extra stuff just to distract from the Epstein files, and he says all this hateful things, and it's like, even it's so scary because I feel like there's no way that Canada or Europe or even Mexico is ever going to trust us after this.
Nobody is going to trust us until we show the world that we have made reforms to where we deserve to be trusted again. We have no reforms in the U.S. There's no There's nothing.
Yeah, we need like better health care. We need better, especially mental health. Because mental health is like one of the worst things we're suffering from right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we also
need suicide rates.
And we need laws against corruption. We need laws against corruption, man. This corruption.
Yeah, I think the president, they're going to get rid of the pardoning power for sure. I think once the Democrats take over, the first thing, like the president's going to be so nerfed. You know what I mean? The Supreme Court, it's going to be hard. Like, that's so stupid. Like the Supreme Court said presidential immunity. That was the most dumbest thing I ever heard. And these are like people in the Supreme Court actually said like this, that the president can actually not commit crimes. Like, that wasn't, when I saw that, I'm like, wow, this is incredibly corrupt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they're going to fix the Supreme Court. And the worst part is how are we going to fix anything unless it's just crazy. The Supreme Court is so bad. I don't know how they're
justices. They got to impeach justices, So that has to be like, because you're not going to get anything. A lot of the stuff that Biden tried to get, like student debt relief, right? That's something that was positive.
Clarence Thomas, I was so disappointed with, Alito is bad too, but you know what? Like Clarence Thomas, I used to, like when I was a kid, like I wrote him a letter when I was in kindergarten, and it was part of like a program in my school, and I wrote him like a nice letter and sent it. And when we in elementary school, you learn about Clarence Thomas, you learn about civil rights and everything. Right. And now they're trying to get rid of the Voting Rights Act, and they're trying to get rid of civil rights era laws that are there to protect.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really sad. There's no reparative justice in the U.S. Whether it's student debt relief, whether it's minority farmers that don't get access to the funds that other farmers get, even though it's supposed to be allocated for everybody. All of this kind of stuff, the Supreme Court is not doing. But let alone when you're talking about big business, they're not doing any. There's no safeguards for big business. They're passing the buck.
Yeah, like Clarence Thomas sold us out, but they say he's in the Epstein files. I don't know. You know what I mean?
He's probably in them. But Sasha Riley, he said that he thinks that Clarence Thomas was at these parties, and he thinks Clarence Thomas is one of the people that assaulted him. But he can't remember all the people. He only remembers.
That's so scary. Shoot,
exactly.
I mean,
he can't. That's
one of our Supreme Court justices. Oh my God, that's like horrifying.
No, look at the guy right here on the screen. He said Jim Jordan. He said Jim Jordan was a person that assaulted him too.
Oh yeah, they wanted him to be the Speaker of the House. And I hated Jim Jordan. He was such an evil, one thing I will say about Mike Johnson, even though he's like a bad guy, Mike Johnson, sure, he'll shield Trump and all that, but he doesn't actively attack people and say hateful things like Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan was such a hateful person, such an evil. He was.
Mike Johnson's more of a snake.
That level of,
Johnson's
he wants to just keep his position. You know what I mean? He's a snake. He's like kind of like Pam Bondi, I guess, or something.
Yeah, exactly. But it's true. This guy Sasha Riley, he said that Jim Jones actually violently, he had or at least one violent encounter with him as a boy between the ages of 8 and 12. And unfortunately, this is corruption. Everything. Look at the Epstein files. The Epstein files have judges in it, congressional members in it, senators in it, presidents in it. It's very simple.
Yeah, but make no mistake, the Epstein files have the proof. Like, Sasha Riley, that's one of the victims, but like, they have the video. I guarantee you, they know exactly who did it in the files.
Exactly. They have to know.
They're protecting that person.
They're protecting the people in it, and it's just sad because other people have it. It's not just the FBI that must have it. Putin can have it. Israel can have it, and they can use that same information to blackmail people. You see, so
well, the scariest thing about it is, so there were a lot of like Virginia Dufresne, for instance. A lot of the victims mysteriously committed suicide, just like Epstein mysteriously committed suicide.
Yep.
And that's like, so
yeah,
there's people who, there's definitely a violent aspect to this. It's not, think about Trump, how he sent ICE into Minnesota and he just like killed those people in cold blood.
Yep.
I mean, we're being run by a gangster. We're not being run by any sort of legitimate government.
Yeah, exactly. It's dangerous. It's dangerous times right now. And I think, they've done a good job at turning everything into Democrat, Republican, instead of just Americans. Americans need to stand up against this shit.
That's why I'm happy there's people like, Don Bacon and Thomas Massey. And I know that, they may not be like the most perfect people or Democrats are definitely not perfect either.
Right.
But, like people like Thomas Massey. And I know a lot of people hate MTG because of all the stuff she said about drugs.
Right.
But, at least she signed the release,
Now she understands.
At least she signed it.
She may have a different opinion about certain things, but when it comes to what's going on right now, the threat that the Epstein files pose, Putin and all of this blackmail, all of this kind of shit, Jeffrey Epstein, Israel, she's on par with it, So we have
Mossad aspect.
Exactly. I mean, because it's a danger to our country. Look, we can't.
That's why I'm saying we shouldn't be supporting Israel. That like USAID, we're giving money to Israel, but we're not going to give money to Somalia or other countries that actually need the money, like Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And we're tariffing the crap out of India, which is a very poor country, and we're being so horrible to Haiti and Cuba. But we're giving free money to Israel that has universal health care, and we don't.
Exactly. And we have to know, the American people deserve to know who are their friends. We all,
yeah,
as
we'd
American
rather
people,
buy F-35s for Israel than give people food. Like, how so many millions of people are dying because of Trump and because of Doge and the cuts to USAID.
Well, look, of course, it's always, there's a whole lot that can be said about the aid that we give, whether it's military or otherwise. That's a big conversation, and we should have that, right? But at the very least, no matter what somebody else is doing, we should know, are you our friends or not? That should be the bottom line. And, the first concern, and until we get these Epstein files released, we don't know who our friends are. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Our true friends is like Canada, France, I think UK is not really our friend because I think Keir Starmer, he's okay, but I think the problem with Keir Starmer, he's in the Epstein files, like he's not in it, but he's had neglect, you know what I mean? He let people in power, obviously Andrew you can't control, but that other guy, who was the U.S. ambassador,
exactly.
That guy, now Keir Starmer didn't do anything like bad.
No, but
he didn't do his job. He didn't do his job.
Exactly.
Like, his job is to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. I don't believe that Keir Starmer wanted to do anything bad.
No, but he was doing insider trading. They were releasing government information, highly classified information to Epstein about the economy, about the market, the EU. And so they made loads of money when Greece crashed. They had advance warning about that and all the maneuvering the EU had to do to secure Greece. They did a lot of this kind of insider trading thing, and Epstein was into that. So, of course, his man was part of that, and he had to be fired. But now Starmer's in trouble because of that. But look, they were doing the same thing. They doing things like that inside of the U.S., and then they will blame it on somebody. Like they tried to blame Clinton for the crash, but then all these emails are coming out where they're showing you they're setting Clinton up for the fall. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's nuts.
Exactly.
Hillary isn't mentioned one time, but Trump is mentioned in there more times than Jesus was mentioned in the Bible, or Harry Potter was mentioned in all the Harry Potter books. Like, that's crazy.
Exactly. So we have to just say, as American citizens, no matter who you are, no matter who you voted for, no matter what party you're for, no matter what your personal politic is, whether you're anti-woke or not woke, we should all at least agree that at the bare minimum, we need to know who and what happened with these Epstein files and who was involved, and they need to be removed from government, period, and anyone else that is a part of them. You know what I mean? Because that right there, these people can use this information to blackmail. And if the public doesn't know who's been involved, we won't know who's being blackmailed against us. That's
but Melania, it's literally one of the people at Epstein's model agency. Like that connection between her modeling and Epstein.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone is just so disgusting. Like, and Melania is not a victim. She took advantage of the situation, and she she's keeping silent. She knows that there's people that were getting taken advantage of. There were young girls and young kids, that were getting abused. She knows all that because she was part of that.
She was part of it.
She wants to be, she's like another Ghislaine Maxwell. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, or she knew
in the prison camp with Ghislaine.
Exactly. And she should be. I mean, she knew, but they're not even interviewing people. It's all been a cover up. What we've seen.
Well, people interview her, and every time the funny thing is, like, people are so mad about it. Is you have like her Melania movie. Anytime that Melania goes out in public, the journalists always ask her about Epstein. And they always do it, and she has to constantly, like, the security will come and she has to she can't even show her face in public, and she deserves it.
Yeah, but that's what people want to know. That's what people want to know.
I mean, look at the Michael Wolff. So she threatened to sue Michael Wolff, and then Michael Wolff hit her back with the anti-slap lawsuit.
Discovery.
And then she's like ducking the papers.
It's the Discovery.
Yeah, she's so evil.
They're stupid.
That's sick.
Yeah, they're stupid, man. And it shows you that
she's in she was part of that whole Epstein. She was there. She worked her way up the hierarchy. She started out at the bottom, and then she worked her way up. You know what I mean? She was part. That was her. The Epstein syndicate, she was part of that,
Yeah, and the honey trap, the honey pot, So it's they're basically trying to hide how extensive the honey, quote unquote, honey pot, because they were torturing kids too. It wasn't just this assault.
For sick pleasure,
for sick pleasure, and this is all about hiding the people involved in that sick pleasure.
Because Epstein and Trump were Epstein and Trump, they worked together. So Trump had his other wife, Ivana. Ivana started to get old. Then he had another wife, American lady. I can't remember her name, and he didn't like the American lady. Because, the American lady is not going to put up with his crap. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Not if she can get wind of it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, he ended up with
Melania.
He and Jeff. But you look at his relationship with Epstein, and and the fact that he said that he bragged about being able to go to little girls' locker rooms and watch them naked and examine their private parts because he was one of the judges.
Exactly, man.
I mean,
it's horrific. It's horrific.
I mean,
it's horrific. He's not even hiding it.
And these people are going to ignore that.
They're not even Trump himself doesn't even try to hide it, but he has all of these people out here trying to hide it for him, trying to clean up his mess. And Pam Bondi's one of them, and it's embarrassing.
But you know what it is? It all comes down to white supremacy, because I know the people I know that still support MAGA, that, after all the stuff that's got exposed, a lot of them are just white supremacists. And like you said, the crime shows that they're, the number one meth addicts and drug addicts, and a lot of the criminals, like hell angels, and I'm not trying to judge anybody.
Right.
I'm not judging people, but I'm just saying statistically, everything that they're saying about immigration is 100% false.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're Americans. We know what crime Americans get into. Shit, what the hell? It was,
and we're not judging anybody.
Right.
We just need better prison reform too, because you got a lot of gang members that once you're in a gang, you know what I mean? Then that's your way of life. Like, that becomes your family and stuff. So
exactly.
You got people in Hell's Angels, Banditos, Bloods, Crips.
They're trapped in it.
Aryan Brotherhood and all that.
Exactly. But I think the common denominator is really just ignorance. To be honest with you, man, I don't even think it's of course ignorant people can be racist, obviously, right? But I think the common denominator, because what explains a black person going along with this bullshit? You know what I mean? It's ignorance, man. It's like to hate immigrants.
I think it's also the memes. You know what I mean? Like meme culture, and Trump, he says like these outlandish, insane things, and people find it entertaining. So they're like, you know what I mean? Like a shock jockey.
Yeah, they find it entertaining, but losing your health care, how entertaining is that? You know what I mean? Like the price of
there are other people, who just want to see the world burn too. Like they just, and that's why we need better health care, better mental health reform. Because you got so many people out here jaded from relationships or whatever, or people who lost their parents, or drug addicts. You got all this mental health issues, and before it was getting addressed, now it's not.
Yeah,
now it's getting completely ignored.
Yeah, we were trying to address it. They were trying to address it, but the right wing makes jokes about it.
They warped it. Like, oh, well, how many genders are there, or what's a woman? I'm like, and we're trying to actually talk about serious stuff that's affecting people, and these guys are like, hey, what's a woman? And they're like cracking jokes like it's about people's mental health.
Yeah, they're having no empathy for real life situations that are just regular people just like them. You know what I mean? It's so sad. I mean, but Pizza Guy, man, listen, I'm gonna be live. I don't know if you're gonna be around, but on Friday I'm gonna be back live. I got 2 live set, or that will be set up for Friday. But I want to welcome you back up here, man. You know what? I'm gonna have to try to hit you up in Distro. You get messages there, right?
Yeah. I really enjoy listening to your show, man, and I'm happy to come on. But I feel like I don't really have anything to add. I'm kind of like an echo chamber, pretty much.
Oh,
but
good,
I love
man.
to come on and talk to you, man, because I really enjoy listening to your show, and I like the fact that you bring the Europe perspective. So it shows like, hey, these guys are saying socialism, but then if you look at what they're doing like straight up communism.
Yeah,
like North Korea style. Trump is the dictator. We have to do whatever he says, killing our people in the streets.
Yep. Killing people in the streets and stealing the money, stealing all the tax money.
And then you look
like
crazy, what France is doing, and you look at what Europe is doing, and you see they're trying to give back to the people, and they're letting people from Africa and people from Asia who were tortured, like colonized and all this, but they're saying, hey, you can come to our country and we'll accept you, and you can live just like a European. And then some a-hole like Trump, he's like saying, oh, Europe doesn't even look like Europe anymore. Like, what a sick, evil thing to say.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean,
what a evil thing. Like, you have people coming to better themselves to Europe and do like all sorts of amazing things. And you're going to come here, these hardworking people, and you're going to say like that racist crap. Like, it's unacceptable. You know what I mean?
Well, in Europe, you do have a couple of you have some right wing parties that try to take advantage of and take the same talking points up and things like that.
Like the Reform Party in the UK, they're really bad, and that's why I think the UK it's going to be really bad for them, because you look at King Charles and you look at the Reform Party. That's a nightmare. I mean, when you had Queen Elizabeth, things were so much better.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. At least you can't deny the fact that this countries, regardless of, because countries have a lot of different parties in Europe. There might be 10, 15 different parties in each country. You know what I mean? So regardless of what party exists, you have to just admit that they actually do have regulations and laws on asylum. They recognize asylum is a real issue and that it's good. They recognize that it's good to integrate people into society and get them up and mobilized and working. And they recognize there's tools you can use to do that. Our government
it's like
totally
multilateralism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, think about it. If let's say you look at the history of Africa, Asia, and you look at how all these countries were used. Now look at what Europe is doing. Europe is saying, "Hey, look, we give you a scholarship. You're really smart, but there's not much opportunity here. But we'll help you out. We'll bring you to our country, and we'll also help the countries out."
Yeah, they want to have bilateral relations. They haven't. That's exactly what it is. They have bilateral relations.
Yeah, they're bringing peace, and what that does is that brings people together. Because now you got people from Africa living in France, and then you look at the soccer team, and it's like, okay, people are coming and integrating, and now it's like, okay, it's not just a white only thing. It's like, oh, all these people are coming to France, all these people are coming to Europe. and they're being accepted, and loved, and it's it's changing the way that our world was.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of different. You got, there's people that's always going to have different perspective on how well the experience is and what it's like. But I can just tell you what I see. Right, what I see is a lot of people, immigrants, when they come to places like Denmark, that are actually getting involved in education and getting involved in the work market. Very simple. I see a lot that do that. Now, there's a percentage that might, because of reasons like that, are coming for humanitarian reasons, that might have other issues, mental health issues. If you're coming from war, that might take time. But a lot, there's the other side too, that are in the work market, are prepared and want to be educated, want to get degrees and things like this, or want to get certifications in other types of in the job market in general. So like they say in Denmark, I'll give you an example. If you start picking away at immigrants and just talking about them, a lot of the workforce in healthcare, a lot of it have people with immigrant background. Immigrant is a big word. It's not really specific. It doesn't really say a lot about your situation, because there's a lot of different kinds of immigrants and there's a lot of different immigrant situations. You know what I mean? But some sectors of the work market, it's a lot of immigrants, because maybe other people don't want those kind of jobs. They want different kind of jobs. You see what I mean? So when we just talk about them poorly or try to demonize them, it's like, come on. And the reality is that we know this, Westerners, we're not, the ones of us that are Westerners, we know we're not new to crime. We're not new to crime. What the hell, man?
The thing is,
we know what crime is. What the hell, man? You don't have to blame all the immigrants on the crime, because we're going to do crime anyway. You know what I'm saying?
And immigrants are actually contributing to the economy. Like my dad, for instance, he started a software company, and that gave so many people jobs, like 10, 20 people jobs just from that software company. You know what I mean? So the fact is, like, when immigrants come, they pay taxes, they add to the economy, and not only that, they give jobs. They're not taking jobs, actually.
No.
Because a lot of them are overqualified, you know what I mean? And then let's talk about the Hispanic immigrants, the ones that are mainly not. Right. The Hispanic immigrants and the Somalis. The Somalis are doing so much, like working so hard in trucking and different fields like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just crazy to hear all the disrespect. Like I know there's Somalis, they work on trucks, they drive trucks. These guys, they work like 20 hours a day. I could never work as hard as they do, these Somalis, you know what I mean? They do nothing but work, eat, sleep, and then they talk to their wife and their kids, and that's all they do. I'm like, right. That's crazy. You're going to deny someone like that who wants to live the American dream just off the basis of their race.
Exactly. I mean, I think what we've done is we've lied about the entire situation. Like, number one, what we do is we scapegoat people that have real problems. Like, again, asylum is humanitarian. So you're taking in people that would die likely if they're not allowed to come in. And there could be different reasons. They could have different issues, mental illness because of war. People that are coming from areas that have been war ravaged, they might have issues. And so there's part of that. So what we do is we take that group and we try to make that, the model for the entire group, or we try to describe the entire group like the problem persons from that group, you know what I mean, and turn them all into problems when it's really not like that. And on the other hand, we've been in the situation ourselves in the West. After World War II, how many immigrants did we have come to the United States from Europe, let's say, or from different parts?
Italy.
We had a lot.
Yeah, like the gangsters.
And
like, you remember the Italian gangsters and all that?
Exactly.
But
we're not demonizing them. You see what I mean? And we're not demonizing.
Yeah. And over time, things got better.
We're not demonizing the history of that. We're able to connect with the reality of that, because times were hard, man. People needed help, and so but then again, they help fill up the job market. Now, I think where the issue gets funny in the U.S. is that there's a lot of Americans that feel like they've never been a part of the job market or never been a part of the economy. And so when they see others being activated in it, they feel resentful. That there's issues there that can be addressed. But we got to discuss them in the right way, and we got to discuss them in human ways. We don't need to dehumanize anybody in the discussion. You know, that doesn't help anything. And I think that's what the right wing is good at doing, dehumanizing minorities that are Americans, then dehumanizing immigrants. And then what they do is the people that they, you know, get to go along with this game of dehumanizing others, then they just leave them out, to hang them out to dry also. You see what I mean? So a lot of the Republicans that played into that, the poor people in rural areas that played into that, they got hung out to dry. Now their shit is fucked up too. You see what I mean? So it's just, we got to stop playing games with it and really look into, you know, how we going to fix our country, man. I'm sorry, but right now it's an embarrassment. But it's not just that it's an embarrassment. It's that we had problems that we didn't do enough to address. And now it's a good opportunity to address them, you know, because things have gotten so bad. We're going to need everybody's help addressing the issues, too. We're going to need help from, you know, but I think the allies, the American allies, you know, Europe and NATO, they know Americans. So they know this is a political party that has done this. They know that. They know this is not a representation of all Americans, right? They know that. So, yeah.
But, you know, even in, like, you know, Reagan and Bush times, the Republicans, you know, I mean, they did a lot of bad things, you know, like with Nicaragua and, well, you know, Bush and the Iraq war. But, you know, it was like, you could tell you, at least it felt like it was coming, like they were trying to do their job, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, like, with Trump, he's just so hateful. He doesn't, you know, when Bush gives a speech, he unites people and brings people together. You know, fool me, you know, Reagan, he gave so many people asylum, and, you know, when he talked about immigrants and making America great, he wanted to bring people together and stuff like that. But, and yeah, he did a lot of bad things with China. But, you know, Trump, it's like he gives a speech, he's just like saying racist, horrible things, like posting pictures of the Obamas
just divide
as monkeys. It's like, this is just insane. You know what I mean?
He's just trying to divide people. It is insane. It's insane, and it's
just
tyrant,
straight up
you know?
racism.
And I think
hate.
young Americans in general are just tired of this shit. You know what I mean? Young people don't want to be, young white people don't want to be objectified that way, and these MAGA people objectify them. You see what I mean? By being divisive, you know, it pulls everyone back into that narrative again. And people in the United States are tired of this shit, man. You know, we tired.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of white people who, like, you know, in Europe, they just want a peace. They don't want war. They want, like, you know, advanced technology. They want to just live a normal life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then the problem is, you know, NATO is not perfect. Well, used to not like NATO, but NATO has done so much good. And, you know, it's like with Ukraine, and we only, you know, we have to support them at some point. We can't let Russia just walk over them, and like that's just a statement of weakness. You know what I mean?
It
is. But you know, luckily if the Ukrainians weren't like killing so many Russians and killing so many of the tanks,
they would be
finished. If the Russians were just like it would. To the Ukrainians are actually fighting for us because the Ukrainians, because they showed such a huge resistance, like they didn't just roll over.
Yeah,
it's making us look good, but we didn't do enough to help them. You know what I mean?
We didn't.
It's like,
you know, it's true. You know, and hopefully, you know,
Germany, France, Denmark, but they definitely helped. You know, they're still helping, and that's good.
They're still
they're
helping.
Still sending money to Ukraine for missiles and drones and you know, anti-tank. You know, all that anti-tank stuff is just really hurting Russia. And it's destroying their steel industry, and they're relying on North Korea and China. But, you know, China can't do things straight up. And China, at the same time, they want peace. They want peace with Europe. They don't, you know, they don't want to straight up. Otherwise, they would have attacked Taiwan by now.
Exactly.
They want to take Taiwan peacefully. They don't want to take it by force.
Exactly.
Because they're looking at Ukraine, and they're like, if we attack Taiwan and we attack Japan, look at what Russia is dealing with, you know?
Exactly.
They don't want
you
the
know?
same thing.
No, they want to benefit from Russia's confusion. That's easier. It's easier to just benefit from Russia being out there. And Russian people got to ask themselves, do they want to be the fall guy all the time? I mean, do they want one person controlling the entire country, like running the country into the ground, like, or do they want the same freedoms that everyone else has? and wants to maintain.
And that's the problem. Like, a lot of Americans thought, okay, our government is corrupt, right? We've had a lot of backdoor stuff. So we just get Trump in. He says he's going to fix everything, and we just put our trust in Trump. And then he's going to be like a king, and he's going to do everything. But the problem is, this shows exactly why you cannot have a dictator. You cannot have someone with too much power. Because you have someone with too much power, they will not do the right thing.
Yeah, they
won't. So it's like, okay, it's a learning experience for us. And I think the presidency is going to be like, after this all rolls over, presidency is going to be a completely different position. It's going to be like a prime minister. It's going to be so nerfed to like
less power. Exactly.
I mean, look at how Keir Starmer talks when they're talking about Epstein, and he's like scared because he's the prime minister. He doesn't have that much power. Right. Even Charles, Andrew, even there's power that they can't just say whatever they want.
Exactly.
But look at Trump. He has this presidential immunity. He's just saying, celebrating people getting murdered and just saying the most hateful, like putting Obamas as apes, and like, man, it's just so sick. All this like nasty, sick stuff that he's been doing. And I think what's going to happen is pardoning power is going to go because that's insane. Because think about this. He's pardoned over like 2,000 people, and they recommitted crimes, and then he pardons them again. So you could, as the president, because thanks to the Supreme Court, you could kill whoever you wanted, and you could have people kill whoever you want, and then you could pardon them.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That is insane. That's insane. That is
the only
insane.
thing stopping that is states' rights, like the 10th Amendment. If it wasn't for the 10th Amendment, we would be all dead. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump, it would be full-on Nazi Germany.
It's scary.
But luckily, the 10th Amendment exists, and you got states like Minnesota and Colorado fighting back against Trump.
And people better stand
but if
up.
it wasn't for that, and judges,
yeah.
But if it wasn't for the 10th Amendment, man, Trump would he would just like mercilessly kill us all. I'm telling you, we would be just like Germany. And he is a German. His family's from Germany, and the way he talks.
Yeah, but Germans
he's
don't
always
want
been
nothing
like
to do with
a German.
But Germans don't want to have shit to do with that behavior. They don't want to have shit to do with
because
that.
Germans learned their lesson, right?
Exactly.
They learned that this way of thinking is not acceptable, and it leads to harm.
It's insane.
But
It's just crazy.
Trump,
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But Pizza Guy, I got to bounce, man. But listen, I appreciate having you up as always, man. It's good to hear another person. We have so much in common, dude. So I really appreciate that, man. You welcome back anytime. And I'm gonna hit you up in the chat though. I'm gonna hit you up in the chat in a few, man, since I got the Discord on my phone too, and we stay connected. But I appreciate your support and I appreciate your words, because hey, the more the merrier, bro. The more the merrier. Period. To tie these ends up, you know what I'm saying? To make the ends meet, the more the merrier. And hopefully, I know that it's hard to discuss these matters every day, so people tune in and then they tune out. But listen, we're going to be there when shit hits the fan also. So there's always a moment like that's coming. And we will see. But I appreciate you hopping up, bro.
All right, take care, man. Take care.
Yeah, be good, okay? In Danish they say Hils family, and that means greetings to your family too, bro.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hils family, man.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, y'all. So I'm out. I'll be back in 18 hours, something like that from now, or less. I'll be back. It's 20. It's almost 11. I'll be back in 10 hours from now. 10 hours from now. So I'll catch up with everybody. I appreciate everyone for coming out. And we're going to see what it does. There's going to be plenty of commentary, fact checking on Pam Bondi's ass coming out in the next 5 hours or 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So I'll catch up with you all in the next 8. I appreciate everybody. Let's impeach Trump, y'all. No matter what political party you have, come on, let's just get rid of this administration. They're delinquent. They don't care about us. They don't care about us. They don't care about you. Come on, let's get it together. We deserve better as a people, as a country, man. All right, peace, y'all.
See ya. When I'm out walking, sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the projects, enter rec rooms. So Some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. They go Dralo with the blowout fro. He's got a gap, hey yo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrate, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a
And
fucking
yes, you know
lie.
the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this. A place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion. Justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists. Giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world. They want us to do what we're told, like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
And
this
yes, you know
day.
the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody round the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods. Twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate. Understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle, we procreate. We can clone humans, but at the same time, we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true.
And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. People will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision.
Mentalities of different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey. Kinda like Sigourney. Implore me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas, go figure. It's the card, they call me Uncle Bigger. Niggas love your blunts, down your liquors. I read the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relaxed behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange. The whole concept, yo, is good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic, black onyx, and hooked on phonics. Just atomic, bees like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the erratic type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in a prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable dictions. My style might vary, so get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Prairie dogs chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb the ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like splatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we coming back to our sons and our daughters. So follow him, the one who protects ya. And the mother, she will never neglect ya. Through divine nature, the people respect ya. And in this way I deliver my lecture. want war. Crying babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind, is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets, with the people in the slums and the homeless bums, with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like the lotus
coming out of the mud with colors. I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. You might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment, at the same time edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gat. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills. Cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. It's your dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state, not balloon, it won't fuck the shake and take it to a lower level and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, need the data unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling people's vision get blurring. Their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. The introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop pillars, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for Keek to me relax and just hear my dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat.